Hello, and welcome to the humanity where we do things with the stuff for the people. I'm Tommy, and this
And I'm
is
not mad.
correct.
Right.
Yeah, people who've been following us on the socials, like Matt couldn't be with us tonight. He has been dealing with some back issues, actually in the hospital now, maybe needing some surgery, like all like physical therapy and stuff to go along with that. It's the whole thing. So So yeah, a bit of a change of plans because if people remember, because we were actually talking about this going back a couple weeks ago. I mean, we should have learned a long time ago not to plan so far in advance because like seems like pretty much every time we do, things go awry. But yeah, we had planned on this being a night for Matt to do his own solo show. So I guess that's still forthcoming. I'm looking forward to that. And originally, I wasn't going to be able to be here because one of my kids had a baseball game, but that got canceled. So all the things. But we figured since Matt obviously not doing the best, feeling a little down with everything, so figured why not have a little show to like because he sounds like he might still be trying to watch. So, and even if he's not watching live, watch back later, and maybe a little something to help cheer him up a bit, send him some good vibes and all that. So I figured might as well have some friends to join me to do that. So, for those who don't know, this handsome gentleman over to, I guess he's actually that's to my left, but camera to the right, depending on your point of view. So yeah, tell us who you am.
I is Jimmie Ligon, and I do my podcast on tomorrow night from at the same time, and it's
Mhm.
called Unreligious. And I guess that would be like a brother show or sister show, however you want to look at it.
Or I mean, according to the waitress at B Dubs the other night, where it might be a spouse show. Who knows?
My God, she thought we were married. That was hilarious.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I guess before we get into other stuff, I guess our usual what we're drinking tonight. I'm starting with a Stone Tangerine Express Hazy IPA with the actual tangerine and pineapple in it.
Nice.
So
Well,
very tasty.
this past Saturday, I was hanging out with my best friend Floyd, and then my other friend. Well, Neil I saw earlier that day, but that was not a drinking situation. Me and Floyd got together, and then we went to a party thrown by my ex brother in law. So let's just say I got rather inebriated that night.
Oh,
So,
good times, good times.
so what I'm drinking tonight is a big old cup of water.
Smart, smart.
Because my
Yeah,
black ass doesn't drink that much, so I have to recover and thank you, H2L. Proceed, sir.
indeed. Yeah, and yeah, you might want to stay hydrated for some of the things I have planned for the evening. Things could get a little ugly,
Well,
but that,
oh, ahead of time. Whenever Derrick shows up, I'll probably
mhm.
stick around for another 5 or 10 minutes, but then I got some other stuff to do. But I at least wanted to come in and support you because
Yeah,
you're my
yeah,
dude. And so happy to have met you in
I
person
know.
this past week was awesome. So
Right.
all the good stuff. All the good stuff.
Speaking of which, I thought,
Oh, there you go. There's the
yeah,
picture.
this is yeah, me and here. I'm gonna.
That was what, on Friday? It was Friday, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Friday. Yeah,
Yeah.
and speaking of a little backstory to what we were joking about earlier, is this hanging out at B Dubs, taken by our waitress, who apparently thought we were married to each other.
That is
It
so funny.
was also hilarious, like how much effort she went into like setting up this shot. It took her like a good like felt like a good like 5 minutes. She was like literally arranging like everything on
You,
the table, like with the menus and the waters and
She's
everything.
more OCD than I am.
Yeah. But then, of course, she also wanted a good action shot of us, like
Yeah, there we go. Like, seem like we're
deep in
talking.
conversation there. But,
Can't believe she thought we were
but,
married. That's hilarious.
but yeah, that was a good time. It was good to see you.
Pretty funny. Yeah. Pretty good night though. Pretty fun.
Indeed. But also, speaking of which, an evening where unfortunately again, Matt had intended on joining us but was unable to. So
Right.
I figured, what better way to cheer Matt up than like have some more people like to hang out with in something where he couldn't make it. So I don't
Well, I like to say, yeah, I like to say, Matt, I hope you feel better, bro, for real. And if you're really gonna have surgery, bro, um, just recover as soon as possible. Unfortunately, this is the reason why we couldn't have met up, all three of us on Friday. Maybe she
yeah.
would have thought we would have been a menage a trois.
Yeah, they're a little thruple. Yeah.
Yeah, a little thruple. There you go. But yeah, but seriously, I hope your back situation gets straightened out, Matt. That could be kind of serious. So we're all thinking about you, and we got your back, and hopefully the medical professionals will hook you up, brother. Because I want to see you back on the
Mhm.
show. So there you go.
Yeah. So like I said, yeah, like Jimmie was saying there, like Matt started dealing with this stuff like last week, probably. So yeah, that's why he couldn't hang out with us on Friday, and he felt real bad about that. But so, like I said, I figured Matt, if you're watching, like I figured, what better way to cheer you up than like hang out with Jimmie again when you can't make it. So I don't know if this will cheer you up or just piss you off even more for not being able to make it again.
Right.
Hopefully you're. I don't know if that makes me a good friend or kind of a dickhole, but hopefully you're on enough medication that you can't tell the difference.
Well, let's
So
hope you're not a dickhole. We don't need any
I
more of
try.
those right now.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. So like I said, tonight we got Jimmie on. He's hopefully having our other good friend and former guest slash fellow podcaster in our loose conglomerate of shows here, Derrick Day. He said he might be stopping by later, and just other, and also a got interest from another YouTuber who we met recently, like here on the show, Mr. B.S. Lewis. May have him on later as well, if people are familiar with him and his channel. Um, but yeah, and also if anyone just even if you don't want to actually join us on the show, I'll be putting the link out there later if there are people who want to jump on and kind of have some fun with us. But if not, if you just want to leave a nice little message in the chat, like show Matt some love. See, even got my little ticker going here. So yeah, get well soon, Matt, and everybody hop in the chat, show them some love. So
Absolutely.
yeah, all
Absolutely.
right. So like I said, I didn't really have much of a plan for the evening other than just hanging out, see who jumps on, maybe watch some apologetics videos because that's something like me and Jimmie had been talking about doing together sometime, but just never actually
That
got
that
around to.
that would be hilariously fun, I think.
All
Watching
right,
a poll
well,
and sitting there just yeah, that would be hilarious. That
yeah,
would be super hilarious.
and I'm looking forward to it because I've also just like had kind of a longer day and just kind of tired. You can tell like I haven't even changed out of my work clothes.
Oh, that's what you wore when you were working today?
Yeah, because I work from home, so
Right, 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 right.
I'm pretty lax around here with the dress code, but just staying cozy. But yeah, so yeah, I'm like I said, I wasn't even planning on doing a show tonight. I'm kind of tired, so we'll just see how long I last. The
All
apologetics
right,
will
that's
help,
been a great 20
I'm sure.
minutes. We'll see you guys later. We're like, what?
Uh, all right, so so like I said before the show, I was just jumping around on the YouTube and like the apologetics sphere, whatever you want to call it, looking for I don't know some good fodder for thought. So I guess I'll see like with you, Jimmie, like see if any of these that I have pulled up already sound interesting to you.
Okay.
So I have a couple on like Christians trying to give each other tips on how to start conversations with non-believers, or
What
like
end?
talking about what's that
They want to start conversations to what end?
like for evangelism and trying to convince us of their ways and whatnot.
Really? Hey, look, Christians, if you ever run into me, save yourself some time. Unless you have empirical proof to back up what you believe, just don't waste your time because I'm not going to bite. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
It's not one of those
All right,
things that
well,
you can't talk me into that crap. So it is what it is. You just
yeah,
can't.
but hey, they do try. So I figured. So I guess now that we're talking about it, I mean, now
Right.
I'm one. So let's see. The first video I got here. It is from. Well, the channel is Cross Examined, which is people are familiar with Mr. Frank Turek, which we've covered here
Oh,
on the show. What's
that
that?
guy. I said, oh,
Yeah,
geez, that
you
guy.
yeah, you familiar? Yeah. So yeah, we've covered him a couple times on the channel before, but here he's interviewing another guy who I think we maybe covered a little bit. Wanted to do a little more. Is named Greg Kokel. Um, One of the things he's a little more famous for or infamous for. He wrote a book about like how to like start and have conversations with non-believers for the hopes of converting them, which sounds bad enough, but then like he titled the book Tactics, which already kind of shows like why do you need like tactics for just like talking to somebody? Like that already says like I definitely have an agenda with all this, and it's not about having real genuine conversation. It's about essentially trying to trap the other person in different like arguments and whatever. So yeah, it sounds wonderful. So let's.
Ooh, let me turn my
So
space
if
heater.
that,
I'm not going
all
anywhere. I'm
right,
just over here
right.
two spots. Keep going. I can hear everything.
Yeah, so I figured like if that doesn't sound appealing enough, then why not listen to him talk with Frank Turek about it? So I watched a
Sorry.
little bit of this one.
Oh,
So
yeah?
let's yeah, just a little bit. So let's hear what Greg and Frank have to say about having tactics with folk like us.
You want to start a conversation on spiritual issues where you could then use these tactics. How would you start it in today's environment? What question might you ask them? Well, I would say,
Yeah, and also Jimmie, feel free to like flag me to pause it at any point when you got
Okay. Okay.
something you get when you have something on your heart that you just want the people to know.
Okay.
So,
On the heart.
I have a thing I'm thinking about, and I'm wondering people's opinion about this. Okay, because I've been thinking a lot about it, and if you don't answer the question, it's okay. I understand that, but I'm curious. What do you think happens when you die? This is a genuine question.
I got a great answer to that question. I don't fucking know. I've never been dead before. That is not a good question. It doesn't matter what you think. I can think kangaroos fly out of hippos' asses and they give me a bouquet of roses and we all drink fucking fruity Kool-Aid fucking alligator pond water or something. I don't know. How am I supposed to fucking have an answer to that?
yeah, that sounds intriguing. Actually, I might be down for that.
But I'm like, seriously, how are we supposed to have an answer to that?
Well, see, but that's the thing. Like, that's one of his tactics. He probably knows. Oh, they don't have an answer, so I can give them an answer. I think that's kind of where he's going.
His first tactic is boo. Anyway.
Right, but let's see where he's going with this.
Horrible.
It is not merely, please understand, it is not merely a stepping stone to a gospel assault. All right? You want to know what the other person thinks. Okay? You want to treat them.
But I love how he feels like he has to tell other Christians that it's not just for an assault on them with the gospel. It's like,
good grief.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I appreciate him telling them that, but yeah.
Okay.
As a valuable individual and reflect their point of view. I mean, respect their point of view. So you're listening. Now, by the way, I don't know what you're going to hear. There's all kinds of things that you could hear from people. And this is going to give you an education about the things that people think about. We want to.
Yeah, see, that's his whole thing. It's not about just. I mean, first of all, like obviously there's an agenda with all of these questions. Like it's all about trying to convert them, or essentially try to argue with them, even though he might call it just trying to have a conversation. But it's still essentially trying to argue with a person and prove them wrong and why you're right based on like what they're saying. But the fact that he's like, even a question, which is can be an interesting discussion question, like what do you think happens after you die? Like if there's no agenda behind it, if it's just having a conversation, people speculating that some people might have some ideas, reasons for believing whatever they do. But if it's just in the form of, oh, I just want to hear what you have to say, that can be fun.
Yeah, that's not actually bad, really. I personally think it's a silly question because you're not going to get any kind of. But it's an honest question. They're asking because I do appreciate the way he postured the question. He said, "What do you think happens when you die?" And that's an honest question because people can think a lot of different things. That doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
Right.
But I just think I just need to hear more of what this guy's going to say to find out actually what he's trying to do, because that's that's kind of like, okay, you asked that question, now what's next there, dude. I don't know what's going on.
Like you said, you like like you said, you liked how he started out, but don't worry, you'll be disappointed soon enough.
Absolutely.
Here, I'll bring this back just a little bit, a couple seconds.
I don't know what you're going to hear. There's all kinds of things that you could hear from people, and this is going to give you an education about the things that people think about. We want to know. That's the intel. We want to know what the other side.
See, just you can tell where he's going. Just the way he phrased that is like, this gives you intel on the way the other side thinks. You like again, like I said, in any normal circumstance, like talking about what do you think happens after you die, it can be an interesting conversation. But here, like with this agenda, it's like he's not preparing people to have actual, honest, good faith conversations. What he is setting people up for, it's like his book. It's what his book is called, Tactics. This is all about. It's almost like the opposite of just being a real person.
Right, you said on the other side of what? I have lots of friends who are religious, who I love dearly and would protect. They're not on the other side. They just believe something I don't. So that right there in itself leads me to believe that this guy's going to say, I'm pretty sure he's going to come up with some stuff that's going to be pretty dishonest, because I could tell when he said the other side. Other side of what, bro? Other side of what? Because if you think about it, there's more than just one religion, sir. There's three inside of the Abrahamic ones together, and you guys all pray to the same dude. So what are you talking about here with this other side crap? That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
And like I said, it's just setting it up like as being adversarial, like just from the start. Like it's not.
We're not gonna have a discussion. We're just gonna argue.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. If I'm just having a conversation with you, Jimmie, or like anyone else, if I like ask a question like, "What do you think happened after we die?" or just like any other kind of like interesting philosophical whatever questions, like I'm not going in it. I don't feel like I need a strategy. Like you don't need a strategy to just have a conversation with a person.
Right. You have an honest conversation. Try to be as honest as possible, and you listen to what they have to say and go, "Oh, okay." If they make good points, tell them. But this other side tactics and crap, I'm out of here with that.
You just go where the conversation goes naturally. You don't feel like you have to steer it in certain ways to try to,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excuse me, is thinking. And it might turn out that they haven't thought very much about this, right? And so now your question forces them to think a little bit more carefully about something that's kind of sitting right outside their back door now, with
especially now, yes.
Yeah. And so this is imminent right now. The issue broadly is imminent. What do you think happens when you die? Oh man, I've never even thought about that. But
I'm just curious because they're talking about. I don't know what they're talking about when they're saying like things being more imminent nowadays. At first, I thought, did they record this like during COVID? But no, this was only like a year ago. So
are they going to have a lot of questions that lead up to the number one question? Because that can't be the number one question. That can't be.
Well, apparently it is, but
it is.
That's what I'm assuming. We're about halfway through the video.
Oh, really? Holy shit! Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think I've watched this far into it yet. So,
right.
I don't know, maybe he has a better number 2 question. I don't know.
Probably should.
Or they might say, I've been thinking about that lately too because of all this going on,
right.
or something like that, and then see what they say. That's it. Now, if there's any ambiguity
Mm-hmm.
or lack of clarity in anything, they say, this is where you bring your question. What do you mean by that? In some form, back into the conversation. Say, okay, well, I'm a little unclear about this. And after you get a clearer idea of what they do or don't believe, maybe they think, we just end up in the gray. Then this is an opportunity for your second question, just out of curiosity.
Oh, so that was the first question. So here's the other side of this, I guess, because like I hear Christians talk about this stuff all the time when they're talking like how to evangelize to people, like what's the best way to reach the lost or whatever, and they'll come up with all these. Whether it's this, I've heard like so many different ways that Christians will say, "Oh, this is a great way to start a conversation with a non-Christian to try to evangelize to them or whatever." But when I hear all these things they came up with, it seems like the last thing that entered their mind is to actually ask a non-Christian, like, what would be a good way to start a conversation with you? Because like all the ways that they've come up with to say, this is a great way to start a conversation with a non-believer. I mean, tell me what you think, Jimmie. But to me, like all those that I hear, I'm like, that's a terrible way to start a conversation with me if your goal is to convert me.
Yeah, this question is it's ridiculous. And the reason why I think that is because knowing what somebody thinks happens when they die doesn't really mean anything, because it isn't backed by any kind of empirical source of information that provides you with accurate data about what does happen when you die. The only thing we know for sure that happens when you die is that your brain dies and your heart dies. So you as a person die. People think there's a soul. I don't think there is one. There's no proof of that. I think when you're done, you're just done. And he said something about, what do you just end up in your grave? Well, your body does, but your consciousness doesn't. You know why? Because your brain dies. So without your brain, you're not conscious. You're done.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be.
People think there's this eternal blackness. No, you don't perceive. You're not even able to perceive anything once you're dead. It's not that hard to figure. It's not that hard. They make it much harder than it actually is. So I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I mean, you can't prove it either way, but like the way I put it is I've looked into like this on a very like surface level when it comes to like studying things like consciousness and like the physical body and like activities, like what does happen when you die, and like the people reporting things like near-death experiences, where from what I can tell, it seems like most of the like major claims of near-death experiences have at best just been not substantiated, but at worst like outright debunked and disproven. So the way I put it is like I said, I'm not because like you said, Jimmie, like no one actually knows. So I'm not saying I know for sure that there is no afterlife. I mean, the way I like to put it is like I'm open to being pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
But the way I look at it is like I'm just not banking on it. Like, because the one life that I do know I have is the one I have right now. So
kind of like when you go somewhere you've never been before,
you
just get there and just figure it out when you get there. So when somebody talks about afterlife, if there is one, I'll just deal with it when I deal. Just like I deal with being born, I'll just deal with the afterlife the same way. Can't be any worse. And even if it is worse, holy shit, that sucks. But still, it's one of those things where you have to adapt once you get to that destination, if there is such a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. But in the meantime, like I'm not going to be living this life assuming that there is something else, that I need to be basically sacrificing portions of this one life I know I have in order to think I'm preparing myself for some afterlife that I don't know I'm going to have.
If I may say quickly, I think, this is just my opinion, you may agree, you may disagree, but I think that a person who concentrates so much about what might happen when you die, I think that detracts from your experience here. I think you need to concentrate more on what's going on. Like a lot of people talk about being in the now. Don't worry about what happened yesterday so much, and don't worry about what happened tomorrow as much, but be in the now and be aware of what's going on now, instead of always preoccupying yourself with stuff that you have no control over. Like, we're all going to die eventually. Do we know what's going to happen when we die? Not really, because everybody who's dead doesn't come back and go, oh, by the way, Prepare yourself for the silver dragon. Just go left. You'll be like, what does that mean? You'll know what I mean when you get there. When you see the silver dragon, just go left. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen. So that's what my thought process is. It's like I'll see it when it happens, if it happens. That's it.
Right. Exactly.
Not that hard.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm gathering is, it sounds like Greg here may be a little mistaken that this is a wonderful opening question, because I think the problem is with too many of these apologists and Christians. Because I can say, like, so for people who don't know mine and Jimmy's respective backgrounds, like, I was like very much like devout Christian for like 35 years, like almost my entire life. Like, I'm only 42 now. So I was like in it. So like when it came to like apologists, like saying crap like this, like I totally bought it. If they told me, oh, this is a great way to talk to non-believers, I go, oh, well, of course it is. And when they say things like, oh, well, when you say this to a non-believer, this is how they're going to respond. I'm like, oh, that's good to know. Like, but like I said, like, he seems to be of the opinion, oh, if you ask a non-believer, what do you think happens when you die? That's going to get them start thinking. And he didn't word it this way, but you kind of get the idea that he's kind of hoping that we, I don't know, become like nervous or scared or like, oh man, I don't know. And then they'll look to you, oh, please tell me what will happen when I die. It's like,
like that.
It's like, yeah, it's like that. That's what he's expecting. But I don't know. Let's see where he's going with this second question. Unless you had anything else on that.
I just think it's kind of arrogant. But I mean, they always do this with what would have an atheist on the goddamn show instead of making up what an atheist would do or how they react. Just have an atheist on the show,
right.
An honest atheist who will give you the response and the answers that you probably don't even realize they would even say, because your mode of thinking is totally different. So to think that you know what an atheist would say, you're probably not right. So yeah, go ahead and continue, brother.
Yeah. If you want to have me on, I'll join.
Oh, I definitely love to go on these shows. They'll be pissed at me, but yeah, go ahead.
I'll get the popcorn out, buddy. Let me know when it happens.
Like Michael Jackson.
Exactly.
Actually, why do you think that when we die and biological activity ceases and we flatline, that we are gone? Why would you think that? Maybe if that's their view, like an atheistic view. Sure. Why would you think that? And then see what they say. Now,
that's the other thing. So he's saying that it's the atheistic view that when you die, like, that's it. Like, I mean, there are a lot of atheists think that way, like me and Jimmie, like what we said, but not necessarily all atheists think that there's like no afterlife. Like, there's like lots of forms of Buddhism that are technically atheist, but they still think that there's something after death. I mean, like, this is something I know you talk about all the time, Jimmie. Like, saying you're atheist, all that means is you don't believe in a god or gods.
That's it. That's the only thing it means. That's the only thing it means.
Right. Like I said, it's not as common maybe, but it's entirely possible to believe in an afterlife, but just not believe in a god who's controlling it.
Yeah, that's totally reasonable, because all you're saying is whoever I am goes somewhere else, but I'm not controlled by some external deity. It's just me venturing to another realm of a universe, possibly, or something like that, or in the future somehow. But it's not saying that it's governed by a deity at all, because we have no clue about what's going on, and sometimes that's just got to be good enough. Because unless you have, like I say this all the time, I know I sound like a broken record, I'm sorry, but unless you have some kind of substantial and empirical proof that can be proven and tested and then repeated and shown to be true on every single case, you don't have a leg to stand on. That's why I don't agree with like people like Matt Dillahunty who want to debate. It's a waste of time. All that shit is fucking masturbatory as far as I'm concerned, because you're not doing anything but making yourself feel better. You know what I mean? You're not proving anything. The atheist isn't proving anything, and the theist isn't proving a thing. All they're saying is, this is why I don't believe, and this is why I do believe, and we're at the same place we were at the end of the goddamn debate. It's a waste of time. Did I do that? I hit a fucking button. Oh, I closed my chat. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. That's what when I see that, I'm like, this is a waste of goddamn time. I don't mind what people believe. My problem is when people try to force their beliefs, stuff like that. You can believe whatever you want to. You can believe that, you can have 70,000 virgins and you'll go to fucking Chimichanga land and whatever. I don't care. But it's just all, to me, it seems kind of childish and wishful thinking. And I guess when it comes to that realm within the existence of religion throughout humankind, I'm able to go, no, I don't buy that. I just don't buy it. All an atheist is saying is like, you have a story, you tell me your story. I go, okay, why do you believe that? And you tell me, and I go, oh, I don't believe you. That's all it is. I'm not telling you you can't believe it. I'm just saying that I don't believe you.
Yeah. It's saying if you're trying to convince me, you haven't. And that's fine, but yeah.
Convince me. And if God is all powerful, guess what? He knows exactly how to convince me. The motherfucker just hasn't done it yet. So I'm going to stay where I'm at.
Yeah. So that is one thing I do appreciate from Matt Dillahunty. That's a thing that he talks about a lot. When that's his answer to when people ask him what would convince him to believe, he says, honestly, I don't know. But if there is a God who wants me to know, he knows what it is.
Exactly.
And the fact that he hasn't done it yet, not my problem.
Yeah, so. Exactly. You made this shit, motherfucker. Convince me.
Yeah.
Ask me.
Right. But yeah, it's just so frustrating. Like I said, that people like Greg and Frank and so many other apologists or pastors or whoever, it's like they present these tactics as if they're actually good ideas, and they're like, oh, this will work on those non-believers. But I don't know. Part of me is I don't know if I'm more annoyed or maybe in some way kind of appreciate it that they're basically training people to be terrible evangelists.
I'm entertained. I think it's fucking hilarious. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I do. I really do.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see where he's going with this second question about, or back him up a little bit.
Sure.
Remember what we're talking about.
You think that when we die and biological activity ceases and we flatline, that we are gone? Why would you think that? Maybe if that's their view, like an atheistic view.
Sure.
Why would you think that? And then see what they say. Now, when they give the reasons, this gives you something more, at least potentially, to work with.
See, there he is again. He just can't get away from the tactics. You know what? Because Jimmie, when I ask you a question, I don't say, "Oh, his answer is going to give me something to work with." No, I'm going to say his answer is going to just let me know more about Jimmie, and we'll keep having a conversation.
The major difference between honest atheists and people like these people is that honest atheists aren't trying to get you to be an atheist. They're not. We understand that people are going to believe what they want to believe because, first of all, if logic and reason worked, no one would be a fucking religious person. That's just point blank. They've come to these conclusions either by brainwashing or some kind of emotional response, or a little bit of both. But it's not because of logic or reason. It absolutely isn't. Because if you don't understand what logic and reason means, you would not be religious. Period. So this whole thing about you'll know where you're at, it doesn't matter, dude. You're trying to convince me to follow your particular religion when even within Christianity, there's thousands of brands of Christianity.
Right? Yeah.
It's so much nonsense. I'm going, what the fuck?
I know, and yeah, it's and part of the, if you call it brainwashing, indoctrination, or whatever, is again training people the way he is right here. It's
right.
You're not training them to I feel like a broken record on this, with this video. It's but you're training them to not be able to have just regular, honest conversations with people. When every question has an agenda, every response is a tactic. It's always you're trying to get certain answers out of someone so you can steer the conversation and steer them essentially in a certain direction. It's just
Conversation is priceless and rare. Let's just get that straight. Totally honest conversation is very rare, especially in the religious and unreligious discourse that happens. Maybe coming from an atheist, it could be more honest. But I notice a lot of times, and I really hate to say this because I do know a lot of religious people that are generally sweet people, but a lot of their arguments are just dishonest because they're coming from the wrong premise. You know what I mean? So
right.
hard to have a discussion with someone who believes something because of an agenda when it's not a legitimate question in the first place or a legitimate concern in the first place that comes from an honest place. It always comes from a dishonest place. So it's hard to have a constructive conversation with someone who is coming from that point of view. It's just super difficult.
Yeah, someone who is, again, to use the word of his book, like just trying to use tactics to talk to you. Because that's something I definitely remember, like from my days as a Christian, whether this was like explicitly expressed by like, my church leaders and pastors or whoever, but it definitely felt like anytime I was interacting with a non-Christian person, like it's like I was supposed to treat it like an opportunity. Like whether I was like explicitly like sharing the gospel with them, it was all about, make sure I'm acting the right way, make sure I'm making Christianity look good or making Jesus look good, or trying to basically like what Greg's doing here, like know what kind of questions to ask to like make it. Again, they wouldn't put it this way, but essentially what you're doing is you're trying to fake and pretend like you're just having a real honest conversation, but really in the background you're trying to steer them in certain ways and try to get them trapped in certain arguments or whatever. So you're like, aha, I have you now.
Trying to find that aha moment. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I think we're almost done with this one. So let's see. Let's just see if this gets any better, but I doubt it will.
And maybe that you can't answer that. And they might say, well, I can't believe because, I can't believe in a God I can't see and God's necessary for the afterlife or whatever. They'll say something and you might be like, I don't know what to say. Okay. And then you don't. That's okay. What you've done is you've gotten a little bit of an education about that individual's point of view and put you in a better position in the future to come back and talk to them more.
Are you freaking kidding me?
He's like, it's
like one question to start a spiritual conversation. Greg, you suck. Anyway, Greg Colton sucks. All right.
Yeah, which I mean,
that's lame as fuck, dude.
But you get like the way he ended that is like, well, now you've like got more education on like how to approach it. It sounds like he's taken just like having a normal, regular conversation with another human being and treating it like you're running intel or something. Like
bizarre. That's the only word I can think of is bizarre.
Right. Yeah. All right.
They've drunk enough Kool-Aid to where they say things that are nonsensical. They don't even realize it. It's like a reasonable person sitting there going like this. Does it hurt when he thinks or something? Because that's ridiculous. I was like, what are you talking about? Their home job? I don't get it.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Keep talking. I'm just messaging Derrick just in case, because I think he said he might be trying to jump on soon, but I just want to let him know, like, to tell him not to try the link that I sent out earlier that you were having issues with.
No, I didn't use the link. I was just coming in. When I came in, it automatically came to what I was going to do.
Okay. Gotcha.
This one. So let him know to go to the list and come to the one that's on live right now.
Right. Yeah, I guess my only concern with doing it that way is, and I'm not sure if this is actually an issue, so yeah, sorry everyone watching this. This is a little inside baseball here.
Exactly.
But because I think if you remember like what happened, what's that?
I think the link you send out will work because it'll bring them here to this.
Yeah,
it should, but when I come in, it doesn't go straight to that list. It goes straight to me getting ready to record or do a live video.
Yeah,
Does
see,
that make sense?
because I've noticed like in the past we've only had trouble with the link, like with like you or Matt or Derrick or Aaron, because I think that's probably because we all just like on the computers or phone or whatever we're using, like we're already logged in. But like when I put it out in the chat and just like other people who don't normally use like our Restream account, so maybe, yeah. So I don't know if
Because
yeah.
when
So Derrick or whoever.
I don't even know where you sent the link to. I just came in like I normally do.
Oh, I just did it through a Facebook Messenger, like in that chat I started earlier with
Oh,
the guys, but yeah.
oh,
So yeah,
the one where you talk to us. Oh
yeah,
yeah, I didn't use that one at all. I didn't use that one at all. I just used the regular
yeah, yeah,
URL link that I have saved for getting
yeah,
into when I want to do my show.
yeah. Because again, my only concern, and I guess we'll see what happens. Like, because you remember, this is what happened when we had like the all five of us together for like the election night, and
Yeah,
then like when Aaron left, since he was in like through like the regular login, when he left, it actually ended the stream.
yeah, I remember that. That was
So yeah,
yeah.
so which I mean, like I said, not that
Wasn't that
we.
before this new update though?
I honestly don't remember, but
I think it
yeah, I
was.
guess we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was. Well, that's okay. That's okay.
yeah.
We'll
Like I said,
figure it
well,
out.
like I said, tonight is pretty just kind of flying by the seat of our pants anyway. So if this stream ends and we just got to restart it, hey, that's fine. Who cares?
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Well, any other thoughts on that, or if you want
No, I
before we
just
move
think
on to?
Greg did. I was not surprised by anything that he said. It's pretty much on par for the way apologists think and the things that they say. Unfortunately, very uninspired, very pedestrian. There was nothing at all extraordinary about his number one question to pose to a
Yeah.
non-believer. There's just nothing remarkable about it at all. It's pretty much run-of-the-mill stuff. I don't find it very intriguing at all, actually.
Yeah. So I guess my final thoughts on that particular video is like Christians, like if you're wanting to know how to talk to a non-believer, talk to a non-believer. Like don't ask another Christian, especially not an apologist, like what we think or how we respond to things or what will be a good, because also like I said, if we can tell you're coming at us like just using tactics, like that's not going to go well for you. Whether
And
like
the more talented versions of us will manipulate you and make and frustrate the crap out of you because they'll just like, okay, I can have fun with this goofball, and then they'll start. They'll like you're a little stuffed mouth, and they're going. And they're the cat going. Hee hee hee. That's gonna happen. That's exactly what's gonna happen. That's exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Idiot! Yay! That. You know what I mean?
I do. All right. So, all right. Let's see what we got next. So I have one more video. It looks like it's from that same conversation where they're talking about like the concept of like the burden of proof, and like how that shows up in arguments. Or I have a couple of like just Frank Turek talking about. Like he has another video about how to better apply apologetics to when talking to non-believers. That one I definitely want to get to because, like I said, I watched a little bit of it, and I think he may have accidentally made an erectile dysfunction joke, and that made me laugh. But or like there's another one.
He definitely did
right?
do that on purpose.
Right.
Not that guy.
Or there's one of him talking about like the problem of like divine hiddenness.
Okay, what the fuck is divine hiddenness? What is that? What is the principle behind that?
I mean, it's basically. I mean, there's like an official like philosophical argument as far as like the problem of divine hiddenness, but like in just like normal everyday terms, it's basically like, hey, why can't I see God, or why is God not just like so obviously real or whatever, you know? Right. So, but like I guess there was an official argument around the concept of divine hiddenness. I wish I could remember the name of the guy who formulated it, but he set it up as like this syllogism, like with premise 1, premise 2, whatever. Right. But it's basically saying, okay, if a loving God exists that wants people to believe in him, then there
Mm-hmm.
should not be what they call a non-resistant non-believer. Because like that's something like Christians might say, like if someone doesn't believe, like, well, I just don't see any evidence for God, they might say, well, it's because you are resisting it. Like you don't want there to be a God, so you're not even going to see whatever evidence there is. So then this guy said, okay, but it seems like there are, so then it seems like it should be okay, but if someone is not having that attitude of resisting God, and if God wants them to know he's there, then in that case, he should be obvious to them because they're not resisting him. So the argument goes, if there are non-resistant non-believers, then this kind of God must not exist, because if he did, then why would he not be obvious to people who aren't actively resisting believing in him? And I mean, and if you just look around the world, there's plenty of people who just don't believe in God, but not because they're resisting it or they don't want there to be a God, but they're just like, yeah, I'd be fine if there was. I just don't believe in one. But
Well,
then, yeah.
it's like what
So
Matt
that's
Dillahunty.
kind of the.
Right,
Mhm.
right, right. It's kind of like what Matt Dillahunty had said. Again, back to Matt, but he did say that even if there was someone who was able, or there was some proof there was a deity, we still have the big problem of why do I have to worship it? You still haven't solved
There's
that
that
problem.
too.
I think that's even harder than proving that a God exists, which to me is almost you can't do it. I don't think that's possible. I think it's such a mythical thing. Like there's nothing tangible about that. Nothing. It's all either philosophical or religious or something, but it's not real. So that to
Yeah.
me is like infinitely hard to prove because you have nothing to go by. There's nothing to reference when you talk about deities. It's not like we knew one that died fucking 150 years ago. We've never known one. It's a made up concept. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it seems like if there was a God that existed who was anything like what Christianity says he is, who's this like all powerful being who wants people to know him, it seems like it wouldn't even need to be something that another person would have to prove. It should
Right.
just be
It
like
would just be safe.
so obvious that like you wouldn't need arguments or apologetics or
It's
whatever
almost as
for it.
if God existed to be as noble as a tree or
Right.
grass. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah,
have
it
to
should
prove
be
it.
like
If you live on this planet, you've never seen a tree. Where the fuck do you live? You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, it should be just as easy as like, oh, I'd like to get to know God. Oh, okay, well, here he is. And then
How you
he
doing?
just
I'm
yeah.
gonna finish this bag of nachos. I'll get right with you. You know what I mean? It could be that. It's literally that easy. Literally that
Mhm.
easy, but it's not because it's
Yeah.
bullshit.
Like if I told people, "Hey, I have a friend named Jimmy," and they're like, "I don't believe you." Like, all I would have to do, I just like call you up, say, "Hey, Jimmy, this person doesn't believe you exist." Here. Like, and you'd be like, "Hi, I'm Tommy's friend Jimmy." It's like, "Oh, it's that easy."
Not only do I
But
exist, but you're a weirdo for bothering me with this bullshit. Go fuck yourself. Click.
see, God doesn't even give us that. Like if at
No, he
least
doesn't. He
like
doesn't give a shit.
if God would at least give me a go fuck yourself, then that would
Oh,
be
I'd
something.
be tickled. He goes, okay, I'm real, whatever. Now go fuck off. I got shit to do. I don't give a shit about you guys anyway. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Bye. And he goes away. I'm like, okay, there you go. That's the guy. That's the guy. So apparently it's up to us to treat each other like crap because he doesn't give a shit.
Oh,
That's funny.
right.
That's
All
really
right.
funny.
Well, but before we go on to another video, I am speaking of um, throwing out the links and like inviting people in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the chat um, for anyone else who, well, I guess maybe not anyone else who wants to join, but
Right.
but at least some people. Like I know, like I mentioned, fellow YouTube channel having person BS Lewis, who we've got to know on the show recently.
Channel having person. Love you so
Mhm.
much for that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, thanks.
That's so much more.
It just comes out.
Instead of just content creator, you came up with you added about 4 or 5 more words.
That's the way the brain works, man.
Fucking hilarious.
Hey,
Oh,
and speaking,
there he is.
yeah.
There's BS.
Yeah, like, hey, BS, I did just put a link out in the chat, so click on that. It'll put you in the green room, and then we'll let you in. And let me know if that doesn't work.
Well, Derrick doesn't take too much longer because I'm gonna have to go here in about 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I still want to make my appearance because I do care about Matt and his back getting better. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, and I appreciate you that.
Yeah, definitely. I wish I could have met him, but like I said, he has medical issues that need to be addressed, and he needs to get better so we can do this again. Because it's not like I'm never coming back to Cincinnati. I just don't know when. So, yeah, definitely. I want this guy to get because he's a hilarious dude. I like Matt. He's a good dude. He's just a good dude.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. So yeah,
I hope he's watching. I love you, Matt.
Like, Jimmie, are you cheating on me?
No, it'd be cheating if I didn't say it. I'm just outwardly just letting you know. It's the way this is going to go, baby. Like it or not. This is it.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, so like I said, I put the link out there if BS or anyone else wants to join in. Like I said, I was gonna say, let me know if the link doesn't work, but I don't know what I would do if it didn't work, except put it out again. And I don't know if that would help. But all right. Ooh.
BS.
And speaking of which, not on video, but live in audio form.
Hello,
Mr. BS Lewis.
Hello, fellow YouTube channel havers.
All right, it's trending now. Yes.
How are you?
BS, that's awesome. YouTube channel having people. Love it.
Yep. Am I an influencer now? This is great.
You are.
How is it going? Like, so do you prefer BS, Mr. Lewis? How do you
BS is fine.
BS. All right. I like it.
Yeah, I love it when people say my name.
BS.
I love some BS too. All right. Yeah. Well, yeah. So welcome to the stream. I guess like I gave Jimmie here a chance. If you like want to like briefly introduce yourself to the people who may not be familiar with you.
My name is BS Lewis. I'm a cartoon fully man, fully bull, reincarnation of C.S. Lewis. It makes sense if you watch my channel.
Mm-hmm. It does. It does.
Yeah, one time a bull swallowed me whole and then pooped me out, and then here I am. So that's pretty much all you need to know about me.
Yeah, I see the horns on your head in the picture there. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Jimmie, you should check out his channel. I like recently subscribed. And started
I never heard of you until today, sir. So, Mr. Lewis, I will be checking you out and see if I can add you to my long list of channels I follow on YouTube. So, there you go.
I appreciate that. You're in the majority. A lot of people have never heard of me, so.
Right. Well, you know how many YouTube channels there are, my friend? Oh my goodness.
Got to catch them all.
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. You can't catch them all. You just got to try to catch them all.
Man, and speaking of catching them all, look who else we caught.
Oh, it's Simba!
Yo, what's up, motherfuckers?
It is the one and only.
I'm talking to somebody on the phone. You good?
the one and only Mr. Derrick Day. How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Up here, sipping bourbon, catching live music, doing dope shit because I'm a dope motherfucker.
There you go. So yeah, we So yeah, as you see, we got me and Mr. Jimmie here, and I don't know if you noticed, like he's not on video, but on audio, we got fellow YouTuber Mr. BS Lewis also on the chat. So yeah, BS, this is our friend Derrick, who also is on.
Hold on for a second.
Yeah.
Can I get you to do me a favor? Keep an eye on that. Don't let anybody put any roofies in it. I'm just going to get my ear pods.
Put roofies in it.
Don't roofie this guy.
No. I look here. I can't get roofie. You know.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I got a virgin booty. I want to keep it that way.
Oh, Lord have mercy. All right, I got you,
Yep.
bro.
Yep. You're rocking it. Exit only. I get you.
Exit
Yeah.
only. Well, look,
All right.
I'm
So
glad you
how are
came
you?
on before I had to leave, Derek, because I do have to leave now. I got something I have to do. But again,
Okay.
I hope Matt gets well ASAP. And me and you, Derek, have a lot to talk about in the near future. And me and you, Tommy, will hook up. I will be on the air tomorrow without that. I don't know why my show didn't air last week, but it just didn't. Oh, well, I scheduled it. It just didn't work. So you guys have a good rest of the evening. I'll catch the rest of this on replay. And BS, nice to meet you, brother.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
All right, you guys have a good evening.
Wait, is there somebody on here that I don't know?
Yeah, he's not on video, but it's BS Lewis, another YouTuber. He found our show a few weeks ago, and we just had him along.
Okay, righteous.
Yeah. So I'm getting a lot of background
Pretty
noise.
rocking over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hip hop night at the Colony tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thanks for joining us, Derrick. Like I said, for other people maybe just joining us now who've noticed, Matt is not with us this evening. Currently in the hospital dealing with some back issues. Looking like he may need surgery soon, some rehab and stuff. So yeah, just want to get some people together hanging out tonight. Hopefully he's watching, hopefully enjoying it, and yeah. So Derrick, if you had anything you wanted to say to Matt in case he's watching, whether now or later,
Brother, we are sending healing vibes to you. That the power of the universe come in and heal you and make you whole. And that's it.
all right. Here's to that.
Cheers.
All right, so yeah, just me and Jimmie, we were just watching some apologetics videos. So I don't know, Derrick, if that's something you're wanting to watch some videos with us, if you just want to sit here and chat while you're on the phone, or
Well, I want to say this about apologetics. I think apologetics is like one of the biggest scholarly wastes of time that there is. Because this is my thing. If their God is God, and their God has all power, and their God doesn't need apologists. Their God can stand up and show out and prove himself without any intellectualizing. And I've always been anti-apologetics because when you look at it, like Reformed theologians, Calvinists and such, they're real big on it. They feel like they have to come out and be God's bodyguard. And at the end of the day, I say this all the time to people, that when it comes to barbecue, people will say, well, what kind of sauce do you want? I say, I don't want any sauce. Why? Because good meat don't need no sauce. Right?
Yeah.
So a real God doesn't need the defense of his creation. It's like, so anyway, that's my take on apologetics. I say, fuck apologetics and fuck the mentality behind it. I'm not going to say fuck the people. I'm not going to go that deep. But I will say fuck apologetics and fuck the reasoning behind it.
yeah. Sorry, I'm just giggling because you said, like, I'm not going to say fuck those people. I'm not going to go that deep because my mind was there's an innuendo in there somewhere. Yeah, Derrick's like, just the tip.
Yeah, and then some of them are probably unfuckable anyway. So, there's that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you caught it, but we were just watching some Frank Turk and Greg Kokel. I don't know if you put them in that category.
Let me throw a couple of names out here that if you guys haven't watched these guys, you need to watch them, right? One guy is named Christian Williams. Christian Williams, and I think his name is spelled with a K. Christian with a K. And the other guy is Durante Lamar. And these guys,
I know Durante.
Absolutely, yeah, these guys are masterful at breaking down deconstruction. And I'm of the mindset, like I just wrote a book. I'm gonna shameless plug, Deconstructing Religion 2. which is a really good book. And and I have to admit, it's a good book, not just because I wrote it, but because it's a good book. But I believe that when you deconstruct, you should reach a fork in the road. Hey, Tommy, my man. Hey, when I get to see you, I'm gonna autograph it, and I'm gonna write a whole fucking chapter in the cover for you.
Oh man, looking forward to that.
What I was saying is that when you deconstruct, you should come to a fork in the road, and the fork in the road simply says, I'm either going to take what I've learned here and strip away all the superfluous bullshit from what I believe and have a cleaner, more effective, more agile faith. Or I shit can the whole thing. That's the fork in the road. It's either or. And what really irritates me is that you have a whole bunch of people that they want to hang on to the whole Jesus trip. And I'm like, dude, how would you know about Jesus without a book? And how would you know about a book without religion? But you say you have relationship, not religion. My bullshit detector goes off.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's almost like the existence of apologists is an argument against God already, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's pretty much what I was going to say. Yeah, it's like that's one of the things I was talking when Jimmie was on, like the problem of divine hiddenness. It's like now we mainly talk about like the Christian God just because that's the one I'm most familiar with, but it's like any form of any kind of deity that apparently wants us to know it. Like you think like it wouldn't need the help of other people for you to know it, right? Yeah.
Let me put it this way: the sun rises in the east every morning and sets in the west every evening. It doesn't require you to defend it. It just does what it does. The stars are in a position where you can kind of predict where they're going to be on a daily basis. They don't need any defense. Gravity, if I drop this phone, it's going to fall to the ground and it's going to crack. Gravity doesn't need any defense. And that's the whole thing. It's like, to me, and this is just me, a God that requires the defense of its creation is a puny ass God.
Dare I say
puny God. We need to get you a phone case so you don't crack your phone if it drops.
No, I got a phone case, but the phone case don't care. It's like every time I drop my phone, something cracks. So
yeah, I've been fortunate with mine recently. I got a good old OtterBox on it, but yeah, I guess now like BS. Now we got you on. I think our first time, I guess, chatting in person, which is cool. Yeah, like I guess I don't know. What are some of your like general thoughts on apologetics? I mean, you kind of gave a little bit of them there. Like, are there any, I guess, quote unquote, favorite apologetics or apologists that you've come across? Like certain arguments that your favorite for whatever reason or not, or
it's funny. Like there.
Sorry, Derrick, I was asking BS there. I'm sorry if that. Okay. Broke up, yeah.
So in some senses, I like William Lane Craig. In some senses, I hate him. But in some senses, he's more honest about his grift than any other apologist.
That's true. Yeah.
Like the low bar bill stuff. Like he was being brutally honest right there, and he let the cat out of the bag, and everybody started laughing at him about it.
Yeah, for people who aren't familiar with that, I forget what show he was on, or maybe it was his own, but he was basically talking about like the epistemic bar, or like what basically like how hard you would have to try to convince him that Christianity is true because of how wonderful he thinks it is. He's like far from raising the epistemic bar of what it would take for me to believe. Like I lower it. It's like even if there's one chance in a million that it's true, it's like you just kind of undercut the whole purpose of apologetics, was supposed to be like showing how it meets such a high bar. But he's like, well, I don't care, I'll believe it anyway.
Well, especially considering his outfit's called reasonable faith,
Right.
And then he just goes and lets the cat out of the bag, and it's like, that's not reasonable. It's just how much you like it, how good it makes you feel.
Right. something else he said on other occasions where he's like, as much as he likes like philosophical debates and intellectual arguments, he says like really what it takes, like the ultimate proof of God is just like the inner witness of the Holy Spirit in your heart, and like that's what really.
No. In your heart is not a thing.
It's not an argument.
That's like that's your justifying your imaginary playmate. That's what that is, right? Let me say this, right? I always give the God Squad this, what I call the light switch test, or the Honda Accord test, right? Because I happen to love Hondas. I think Hondas are the best cars in the world. Why do I think they're the best cars in the world? Because there's a lot of engineering goodness that goes into them, and they don't cost a lot, and they're reliable, and they hold their value. They do everything that a car should do, right? But let's go to the light switch test, right? Tommy, if you pay the light bill in that beautiful house in Ohio that you have, you can rest assured that you can turn a light switch on in your dining room and those lights are going to come on 100% of the time. You can flick that switch 1,000 times and you're going to get light or darkness every time. Why? Because that switch is reliable. You can count on that switch. Same thing with a Honda. You can count on the Honda. You can count on it starting. You can count on it running. You can count on its resale value. You can count on its reliability. But God, who is supposed to be the creator of all things, has a reliability rate. Let me put it this way. Ted Williams, who was the greatest hitter in the history of baseball, had a 400 batting average, which means that he missed 6 out of 10 fucking swings. God misses way more than that. I mean, God couldn't even be a single A journeyman in baseball, because his batting average is too small. His earned run average, if he's pitching, is too small or too large. There are too many whiffs, too many misses, too many strikes. Listen, this is my thing. That if God is God, then there should be a reliability, at least as asymptotically approaching that of the sun.
At least, yes. Considering he apparently made the sun, you would think he would be more reliable than
Yeah, and you're supposed to be in a relationship with him, so that's a big deal.
So let me start. Let me talk about that for a second. Relationship, right? Because that is the phrase. That is the phrase that pays, right? It's not religion. It's a relationship. No bullshit. It's a religion because you wouldn't know about it without the book, without the liturgy, without the rituals. You wouldn't know about it. It isn't that Jesus comes and just talks to you and says, "Oh, I'm Jesus and I'm here to, be with you and come beside you, to be your paraclete." No, that's not the way it works. You have to learn about this stuff. And then people talk about Christ consciousness, and I'm like, give me another fucking break, because you wouldn't know about Christ without the book.
Right, exactly.
So when you talk about it's a relationship and not religion, no. The bullshit detector goes off.
Yeah, I have some thoughts. Like, I have a favorite response to that phrase. But first, I want to hear, like, BS. If you, like, when people tell you, like, but also, I guess I don't know real quick if you want to share, like, what your background is. Like, are you a former Christian? Like, what is your background? Like, are you familiar with Christianity as far as, like, experiencing it? Or what's your deal?
Yeah, I'm very familiar. I grew up in the church. Church of Christ is my denomination.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, very litigious, very fundamental.
Yeah.
No music.
Yeah, no music, only a cappella. But actually, I kind of appreciate that because it taught me how to sing. But
nice.
Yeah, so I know
the Wilder brothers from the band Heatwave, they came out of the Church of Christ, and so when they left Heatwave and went on and did some other projects, they did a lot of acapella stuff.
Yeah. You can't beat it if you have a good congregation that can sing, but if you go to a congregation that sucks, then it's like the worst ever.
Yeah, if your congregation is people like me, then yeah,
it's just
get out of
how great thou art, how great thou art.
How great!
Get me out of here.
How did you guys know what my singing voice sounded like? That was spot fucking on. But yeah. So
hang on, what is the guy's name who's on with us right now?
B.S. Lewis.
Yeah, BS. You can call him BS.
Okay,
Sounds like
BS.
C.S. Lewis.
Hey, please connect with me. I'm gonna get ready to go. I'm gonna go back inside and listen to the music, but I had to, step in, chime in. Tommy, I may ping you if you're free on Friday night, because I know that Aaron is out, and last week my wife sat in with me, but she's gonna be traveling up here to Tulsa, so she won't be on the call. So if you're free to co-host.
I might be. So
Okay.
I'll have to see, because I do have the kids this weekend. I don't know if we have plans. But yeah, I'm absolutely down. My friend.
Yep. And BS, you could come on in and join us.
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, it's what's your YouTube channel? It's just your name, Derrick?
It's just my name. Yeah, Derrick Day.
Yeah, Derrick.
But if you do a search on Freeology Friday, one word, you'll find both me and Aaron.
Yeah, the show's called Freeology Friday, and that's on Fridays at what time? Remind me again what time that starts.
8 p.m. Eastern.
Well, same time as our show here, same time as Jimmie's show on Thursday. So yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, man. Even if I can't join you, I'll definitely be watching. But yeah, like I said, if I'm available, there. Thanks for the invite, man.
Yeah.
No problem.
And thanks for the book.
No problem. I hope you enjoy it. Read it in good health. It should be the last deconstruction book you'll ever need.
Yeah, I'm a couple chapters in already, and I'm digging it, man. So, right.
There's a lot of profanity in that book.
I know you didn't prepare me for that. That's just completely blindsided.
Oh, my ears.
Yeah.
And my eyes.
Yeah, I don't expect it to sell well with the evangelical crowd. So, but anyway, BS, nice meeting you, Tommy. Take care. Love you guys, and be blessed. All right.
Bye.
All right. Ooh, well, that was Mr. Derrick Day, everybody. Yeah, a good friend of ours. Actually, a huge reason why we even have the show. Helped us get all set up with that. But yeah, but back to you, BS. Like with that phrase, like it's a relationship, not a religion. Like, was that something you heard a lot when you were in church? Like, what are your thoughts on that now? Or because I have a favorite response to that, but I want to hear yours first. Oh, but also, before you do that, in keeping with our usual, like what I'm drinking thing, I moved on to second drink. This is just classic Stone IPA. So, and if you're drinking anything at the moment, feel free to let us know. But if not,
I am. Cool. I got a Lagunitas Maximus 9.0.
Yes, I love a good Lagunitas. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah. I don't show my face on anything. I've been anonymous since I've had my channel, so I don't show up. But I have no problem voicing my complaints.
Really appreciate that. But yeah, keep talking. I'm just gonna adjust. Like now, my brain's like, well, I gotta let people know there's someone else on here. So I'm just like trying to like write another caption. So you talk while I type.
Yeah, and if you want to put your buddies' links in the chat too, I'll jump over and sub to them too. I'm always interested in new channels and smaller channels and lesser known ones.
Definitely will do. All right.
So my story is a little bit different when it comes to this relationship over religion stuff. Is that what ultimately led me out of faith was a mental illness. I spent years having delusional psychosis and mistaking it for spiritual relationships to the point where I was having like what's called delusions of reference. It's where you start to think everything is about you. And I was walking around the world and God was communicating with me through billboards and signs and headlines and songs and my verse of the day and my Bible app. And so the relationship over religion got too real for me, too overbearing, to the point like it was overwhelming. And so I know what people are meaning when they're saying that stuff, but when they try to talk to me as an atheist now and they're like, you just don't get it. I'm like, I get it more than you ever could. You couldn't even imagine, because the relationship I had, I thought was so in-depth and real. And it was the last block of my deconversion, was to realize that personal experience, like William Lane Craig was voting for in his example, isn't actually enough to cut it. Because I found out I was diagnosed with bipolar, it started to make sense of my experiences more than religious, spiritual experiences did. I took medication, it worked. And then I started asking myself, how is chemicals affecting my spirituality? Just to lead me to the conclusion that it wasn't a spiritual experience at all. It was a chemical imbalance.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
and thanks for sharing. Yeah.
That's just my nutshell sale of it. It's just, but there's a lot more than that, obviously. But
I bet.
The subjective experience relationship thing, it shouldn't be enough to persuade anybody but yourself. But even if you're cautious, like, you shouldn't let it even persuade yourself, because a lot of people, they'll get insulted if you even bring up, hey, have you had a mental wellness check? Hey, have you actually consulted with psychiatrists? Like, they'll be like, oh, I'm not crazy. And they get really offended about this stuff. And it's like, well, it did happen. It did happen to me. Yeah. I'm walking proof of this stuff. So,
yeah. I mean, and if you're not going to check, then how do you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because to me, that's, speaking of apologetics and a lot of the problems in it, like, my impression, I guess it's not just apologetics, but it seemed like just Christianity in general. And this is something that, for anyone who's been watching those little shorter videos I've been making, like BS, I don't know if you've seen any of those. I started making recently, but yeah, a few weeks ago I made one about one of the biggest problems with Christianity is how much Christians shield all their claims from any kind of falsifiability. It's like, I was talking specifically about claims like, well, God is always good. It's like, okay, well, what about this time in my life where, like, all this, like, terrible shit happened to me? It didn't seem like God was being good. And they're like, oh, well, maybe there was just something going on in the background you didn't see, or there's, the old lovable old chestnut of, his ways are higher than our ways. How are we? Well, if his ways are higher than our ways, and how are you trying to tell me about any of them? But one of my favorites, in like the biggest air quotes I can muster, is like, well, maybe you just kind of need to redefine what you mean by good. I'm like, okay, and so if you're saying, well, since the Bible says God's always good, but I'm not always feeling what seems like a natural definition of good, even though, like, it's coming from my brain and my reasoning that apparently God gave me and is, like, in his image and should align with his sense of what's good, because I'm told by Christians my sense of what's good came from God anyway, but you're telling me that what he's doing is good, but it just doesn't seem good to me. It's like, okay, it's like, so just redefine what you mean by good. It's like, okay, well, the Bible also says slavery is okay. Does that mean I need to redefine what my definition of human rights is? Like,
a lot of apologists would say yes.
Right. So, yeah. So what I tried to ask Christians, okay, so if you're saying God is always good, okay, well, what would it look like if he wasn't? Like, if you don't have a picture of what it would even look like if he wasn't good, then how can you tell if he's not being good or just not being, I guess. Whatever the case may be. All right, now to tie this back to, like, my whole, like, response to the whole, like, it's a relationship, not a religion. Like, first of all, kind of like what Derrick was alluding to is, it's like, okay, so, but then you ask a Christian to describe this relationship. Okay, how do you have a relationship with Jesus or with God? It's like, oh, it's things like prayer, reading your Bible, going to church service, like having communion, like other sacraments, fasting, singing worship songs, like stuff like that. Okay, those are all religious practices. So it's like,
Yeah,
so,
and they're all one
so
person. You know, except for church, you only need one person for them.
right. And so to me, if anything, that sounds like you have a relationship with a religion, which might actually be worse.
It's called a
But,
cult. Yeah, you're in a cult.
yeah, congratulations, I guess. Like it's like they
Yay.
say, if it walks like a cult, quacks like a cult. I don't know if they say that. At least I do.
Yeah.
But then, but with this whole like trying to frame it still as a relationship, I don't know if you had a chance to see like the video I made recently about being like autistic and dealing with the claim of like God never forsakes you. Like it's okay if you haven't. I'll only hate you slightly if you haven't watched it. But just out of curiosity, if you saw that video or not.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, cool. I hate you much less slightly now. Wait, that made it sound like I hate you a lot, which is not at all what I meant to say. Anyway, just erase like the past several sentences for me. Anyway, but for those who haven't seen it, because like a lot of Christians will talk to former believers, such as myself, and they'll ask questions like, "Well, what?" Well, some of them will just go ahead and like jump to the assumption that I was like hurt somehow by some like bad teaching or bad theology or bad experience with the church or whatever, and they'll ask me questions like, "Well, what like bad theology or bad teaching did you hear that like hurt you so much?" And with the assumption that like, oh, I can fix that because there's like the usual things like, and a lot of people will bring up things like teachings about hell or how the church doesn't seem to like pretty much anyone in the whole like LGBTQIA plus community, or if they like some, they only like one or two, but still like the rest of the letters. You're like, fuck off. But or the whole like Christian nationalism thing. Like I think a lot of Christians think, oh well, that's obviously bad teaching. Here, let me correct that for you and make you feel better about it. But what I like to say to people is like, oh, what was the teaching that probably did the most damage to me? Like specifically not knowing I was an autistic person at the time, but apparently being an autistic person, the teaching that did the most damage to me was Jesus loves you and wants a relationship with you. So it's like, what you got for that? Like, because it was basically like as an autistic person having enough trouble forming relationships with like real people that I can actually see and talk to and interact with, like, but then telling me I have to have this same, not even the same relationship, an even better, deeper, more fulfilling relationship with God. And if I don't get it right, I'm going to hell forever. And I feel like this doesn't make sense to me at all. Like I cannot wrap my head around this or any of that. So yeah, for me, the whole like part of me almost which is, I mean, like I said, it actually is a religion, but like, but like I wish that actually was kind of the approach. Because at least like in a religion, like it has like certain like set strict rules, so you know exactly like where you stand with everything. Like that would have felt a lot more comforting in a way for me. But yeah, that makes sense, or BS, are you still with us?
Oh, there I am. I had my mic muted. Sorry. I was like talking 5 sentences in. So I was telling you the whole story and you missed it. It's too late now. It makes sense. The relationship stuff's lip service, because in my situation where I would tell people I actually was having a relationship with them, most of them wouldn't believe me. And I was having like I told you, delusions of reference and deep psychosis. But during my delusions of reference, it got to the point where I felt like God was actually threatening me and mocking me in ways that nobody else could see.
Oh, wow.
And I would try to explain it to my wife, try to explain to people close to me, like, no, God wouldn't do that. So like, even if you have a relationship, it has to be a good relationship. Like you can't have a bad relationship with God and people are going to believe you. Like there's just, they're not, like I'm telling them, he's my abuser. He's my narcissistic abuser. And they're like, no, I'm going to gaslight for God. He wouldn't do that to you.
I don't know. Have you read the Bible? That seems to kind of be
That's
his.
where I got my info from all the time. I'd be like, well, he did it to Joshua. This happened in the Old Testament. This is where this happened. Well, that's the Old Testament. And so it's like, yeah, you can't win. It's heads I win, tails you lose. even if you have the relationship or you think you have the relationship with the imaginary friend, if it's not the correct type of relationship, you don't have it with considering, according to
Right.
them.
Yeah, because that's the other problem. It's like I'll like tell Christians, "Oh, this is what my relationship with Jesus is like," and it's like, well, there'll always be like dozens of Christians who tell you, "Well, that's the wrong way to do it," even though it's like, but these other Christians told me this was the way I was supposed to. Or basically, the way I like to put it is like, if you ask 10 different 10 different Christians what Christianity is, like you'll get like 30 different answers. But yeah.
I got so frustrated with that I started just relying 100% on my personal experiences. And my personal experiences was my psychotic relationship with imaginary God. And then I'd sit there and like talk to people about it, and they'd be like, no, God wouldn't do that because such and such verse. And I'd point them to another verse. And it's like, why are you arguing with me? Like, did people argue with Moses? Do you argue with prophets? Like when God is directly speaking to people, do you argue with them? Like, why don't you call out some of these people in the book for their quote unquote hearing from God? But when it's me and I'm telling you, like, God wants me to become the Antichrist and go move out in the street and give away all of our stuff, like all of a sudden, no, like that's not what he wants you to do.
Right. Because of course. Like, it's like,
it's called faith for a reason.
Yeah. It's like, he can't want us to do that because I don't want to.
Exactly. There's a Key and Peele sketch where, I don't know if you've ever seen it, where a bunch of people are sitting around a prayer circle. Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I have. Yes. Explain for those who haven't. It was fan-fucking-tastic.
And they all start praying to hear from God. And they're like, we love you, God. And then he just chimes in out of the sky, give away all your stuff. And they're like, excuse me, Lord? What was that? Did we hear from you? And he's like, I want you to give away all your stuff. And then they're like, our house is haunted by a ghost.
Oh, that was so good.
They all run away. Like, that's exactly how it would play out in real life, though. If you think about it, like,
right?
It's funny because it's true. You just be like, I don't like the message, so I'm gonna say ghost or demon or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, oh, I'm being deceived by a demon, which, because that's something else. Like the Bible, like explicitly says that like you can be deceived by demons, or in certain books in the Old Testament. I can't remember which one, but it's like God literally saying, I will send a deceiving spirit into the mouths of my prophets so that people will be deceived.
Yeah, like, with King Ahab, I think it was.
Yeah.
But so it also happens in the New Testament in 2 Thessalonians. He says he'll send strong delusions, make people believe the lie. Yeah. And that was more reinforcement for my situation. I was like, aha, God is really sending delusions. Yay.
Right? Or I think it's in the Gospel of Mark, where like people ask Jesus, like his disciples ask Jesus, like why he's teaching in parables, and he like literally like straight up says in so many words, like, well, I speak in parables because like otherwise people might actually understand what I'm saying and repent and believe. It's as if like he didn't want that to happen. It's like,
oh yeah, dude. I was listening to, I was doing a stream the other day about some Christian filmmaker, and he was talking about how Christian media sucks. And I was like, I agree with you. God's Not Dead is a stinky turd.
Oh, yeah. Are they up to like the 5th one of those now?
Yeah. But he was being really critical on it. And I was like, well, my audience will like this. We can all like agree with this Christian critiquing other Christians. But then he's like, let's look at somebody who told stories right. And it's Jesus. And he spoke in parables. I was like, thinking of verse you just mentioned, I was like, it wasn't because he was a great teacher and he was trying to suck you into an emotional story. It was because he was trying to hide the truth for a lot of people. This is a horrible example.
Yeah, at least according to Mark, because it's like, new gospel, new Jesus almost, depending on whatever agenda the writer had. But yeah, it seemed like in Mark specifically, he was all about like the secrecy. But I learned recently why, at least like, some different scholars like theories as to why, because I think it was I'm blanking on his name. James Tabor. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, Tabor's OG.
Yeah. But like his thing about how so much, and not just him, I think also like Dennis R. McDonald, like they talk about how so much of Mark you can tell is very influenced by Homer and like the Odyssey and like with like Odysseus and like parts of that story where like when he comes back, he's like trying to like keep secret and hidden and like what doesn't want people to let everyone know who he is or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's totally what Jesus is doing in Mark when he's like, will perform a miracle for someone. And then like first thing he says, like, don't tell anybody I did this, which is like, it's like weird.
But, yeah. Well, in the Odysseus case, there's an actual good reason for him to be doing it. He doesn't want anybody to know. Mm-hmm. But in the Jesus case, it's like, you're supposed to be declaring to everybody that you're the Messiah, Savior of the world. Like, why would you want to sit on that message?
Right. Especially when, like, these like signs, and these signs are supposed to be signs, saying like, here, this is why I'm God. Because like in the other gospels, like Jesus, like he'll explicitly say, like, I am doing this miracle to show you like what fucking shit I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the stream I just did. I was talking about the filmmaker kid. I was talking about C.S. Lewis a lot too, in his trope where he talks about how Christianity is the one true myth. C.S. Lewis actually caught on to this mimesis stuff that McDonald teaches. A lot of people like inspiring philosophy try to really push it away and try to deny it ever exists. But C.S. Lewis took a different approach to embrace it. And he just says, all these former myths are from God as signposts pointing to the real one true myth of Jesus, and everything after Jesus is a copycat. And so it doesn't make any sense. It's dumb, but
he's trying.
It's what happens when you keep your worldview fixated on your religion rather on what's observed within reality. Because he's trying to make it fit, and he's given it a college try. He's really trying to make it fit.
Yeah,
but I give him credit.
He's trying.
Yeah, I give him credit because he's at least acknowledging. Because that's one of C.S. Lewis's strong points is he knew all the myths. He read all the Greek epics, the Norse epics, the Roman stuff, and he couldn't not see it. So when I see everybody like inspiring philosophy, for example, denying all this stuff exists, yet praising C.S. Lewis as one of the greatest apologists ever, I'm like, you guys are taking way alternate paths on this specific topic.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if you really love C.S. Lewis as much as you think you do there, bud. Yeah,
he just has a lot of good quotes. You can quote mine the crap out of them and make yourself sound smart.
Yeah,
hell's locked from the inside, don't you know?
I was about to say, but fuck. I actually just like posted that like on my Facebook page the other day. I just said like, hell is locked from the inside has got to be one of the dumbest statements in all of apologetics.
Yes, it is.
Because like, first of all, like my first problem with it, and this might be like taking it like a little too literally and being pedantic with it, but I'm like, well, if it's locked from the inside, how are more?
How did you get there in the first place, right?
So then my mind starts wandering. I'm thinking, is it like a speakeasy? Like there's a guy with the little like sliding door, like you got to say the password to get in, or
yeah, making hell locked from the inside doesn't solve the problem of how you got into hell in the first place. Like somebody still had to give you access or put you in there. And if God left the doors open to hell, he's a very irresponsible, loving parent.
Yeah, or just for making hell in the first place. It's like, so like I have 2 kids. It's like if I like just went out my backyard and just dug like a giant pit and just set a fire in it. And I told them, hey kids, just warning you, there's a big pit of fire out in the backyard. Don't like accidentally stumble into it or choose to go into it. Like I know you might want to. And like they wouldn't be like, oh, thank you, Dad, so much for warning us about the pit of fire. They'd be like, Dad, why the fuck did you dig a giant pit and set it on fire in the backyard? What the hell was wrong with you?
What's wrong with you, Dad? I can understand if like hell was like his kinky BDSM like dungeon that he keeps like adults only, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's it's general access.
Yeah. But then like second problem with that whole like hell is locked from the inside. It's like how like trying to make it like, oh, people choose to go to hell. It's like, how fucking stupid do you have to think people are to like consciously choose that? But
yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Yeah. But anyway, Well, I had like a bunch of different other videos to watch. If you like, I don't know if you just want to like keep chatting or do you want to react to some videos. I don't know what you in the mood for.
Yeah, let's take down some apologists. That sounds fun.
All right, sounds good. So some of the tabs I got up over here. So I don't know if you were watching like the first video that me and Jimmie were reacting to.
I was taking a nap and I woke up. I was like, "Oh, you're on," and I told you I might be your host. I gotta go.
Well, hey, naps are smart, and that's self-care. That's good. But it was you'll love this. Not just Frank Turek, but Frank Turek talking to Greg Kokel about tactics and how basically, like, as a Christian, like, you're basically just not supposed to have just a regular, honest conversation with the non-believer. Like, there has to be an agenda with like literally every question you ask. But there's another clip from that conversation they were having about like the burden of proof, or here's Frank Turek talking about his thoughts on the whole non-resistant, non-believer aspect of like the divine hiddenness argument. Frank Turek telling like how to better apply apologetics when talking to non-believers. Now, this is one, like, whether we do it now, I do want to get this one eventually, because I watched a little bit of this one, and I think Frank kind of inadvertently made an erectile dysfunction joke, and it just like tickled me incredibly. So if that sounds appealing,
yeah, let's knock that one out.
Alrighty, let's see. Click the button to share the things. Where did it go? There we go. All right. Yeah, every time I do this, it always like reverses it and makes things not on the side I wanted. All right. So now, from where you are, are you watching? Like, can you see the screen? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I can see everything.
Okay.
The screen layout, cool. And everything.
All right. Just making sure, so you're not. All right. So here is Frank Turek on how to better apply apologetics when talking to non-believers, which am us. So let's see if he knows how to do the thing. Oh, and of course, like, if there's any, let me know if there's a point you would like me to pause at any point. And also, real quick, we got False or Fulza. Yo, watching us on YouTube. I apologize if I am butchering your name. I'm assuming that's what is.
I'll yell out if I see anything.
All right. So, but False is asking, I'm assuming that's what is this all about? Well, glad you asked. I guess extremely short version. I normally do the show with my friend Matt, but he's unavailable tonight. But yeah, we're both former Christians, currently atheist, or at least atheist adjacent, depending what mood Matt is when you ask him. Just talking about how we try to figure out life post-Christianity, and tonight, with it just being me, I was like, didn't really have much plans for the evening, so we're like, hey, let's just see who wants to jump on. Had some other friends on earlier, got B.S. Lewis joining me now, and we're just like, hey, let's just watch some apologetics videos and let them know what's up when they try to let us know what's up. So, all right, here we go with Frank Turek. Trying to talk to us.
Yes, sir. What's your name?
Rusty Black.
Hey, Rusty. How you doing?
Doing very well. How are you,
Good,
sir?
good.
That's a fake name. Rusty Black. Like,
yeah, it's like, and also like he's bothering me. Like, I mean, I can't relate to being a tall person because I'm not. But it's just,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
Fulsey. Sorry to hear that.
Recently converted Christian. Like, well, hey, I'll see what I can do about that. Just kidding. Like,
yeah, I'll pray for you.
Yeah, I'll scream into the void and say 3 Hail Atheismos for you, or whatever it takes. But hey, welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. Feel free to interact with any questions. Have I seen? I know that name, but I don't know why I know that name.
He wants you to debate Jay Dyer on precept. That's what everybody wants. Like, debate Jay Dyer. Precept, bro.
Precept, like, don't get me started on precepts, because there is no starting with precepts, because you're
They
just
already
automatically
started.
wrong. Yeah.
They already started. It's
Yeah,
okay.
they
Falsey. Sorry, I'm going to jump in here. Falsey, since you're a new, recently converted Christian, let me inform you on the secret about precept. It's not an argument. It's preaching in disguise. It's preaching in disguise of the form of an argument, so you can preach your message to an audience, and you never make any positive claims. You just try to dismiss false claims without being able to prove why they're false.
Right. Yeah, it's basically a way to automatically win arguments without even trying. It's a tactic. And my impression of it, and this is something like I've tried to like verbalize like lots of times, but at least to me it feels like I never quite adequately get the words. But let me know, BS or falsy. Let me know if this makes sense, but it's like, so the precept argument is like, one of the things they hammer on is like, how can you know anything? And like, well, as an atheist, you can't actually claim to know anything, but as a Christian, I know God who has all knowledge, so that's why I know things. And it's like, okay, but if there is no God and I can't know anything for sure, like, well, and neither can you. And you don't just get to claim that you know things because, well, I believe I do. It's like, that doesn't actually get you there. It just gets you to think that you're there. That's all it does.
And it's even worse in the case of Christianity, because they have a malevolent being called the devil who is intent on deceiving you. Where atheists don't have that. And then if anybody comes up and just says, well, I have divine revelation from God, that's how I know this thing to be true. But like, how do you know it's from God?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know that divine revelation wasn't from the great deceiver? And so you're still stuck in the same place that you're accusing the atheists of being stuck in.
Right. Or again, like we mentioned earlier, I think probably before you jumped on, but that part in the Old Testament, and I think you said in one of the Thessalonians, where like God, it's sometimes if you're deceived, it might actually even be God, because he even says, I will send like a lying spirit into the mouth of my prophets, or like purposefully deceiving people, or what he does with Pharaoh in Exodus. He like, God hardens Pharaoh's heart. Even after Pharaoh already said, okay, you can go, God's like, nope. It's like, so basically, from what the Bible gives us, there is no way for anyone to confidently say that they have not been deceived, that their heart has not been hardened by God himself. So
sends a strong delusion. Yes.
Yeah. So really, your presuppositions don't really get you anywhere if they're based on the Bible. It's like, you're just as in the dark as the rest of us. So welcome to it, if you're willing to recognize it. But
the only difference is some of us admit that fact and we live life, and move on. And other people get stuck on it and they get admitted into a cult.
Exactly. So but like I said, glad you're here. We always like I said, we enjoy interaction with anyone. We don't care what you believe, just as long as you're willing to interact honestly and at least somewhat respectfully. We don't mind a little irreverence here and there, but all right. But so if you're familiar with Frank Turek, or if you're not, if you have any thoughts on what he's about to say about how to talk to people like me and Mr. Lewis here. So,
application of the apologetics question. So obviously we prepare ourselves. I think most people in here, you don't really have a whole lot of atheists. We're pretty much believers. Not so much your family. You pray for your family. You have a lot of opportunities to talk to them. And maybe not somebody that you see every day at work, but the passerby.
Right. Sorry, real quick. Saw another comment here. Like, I mean, have you ever thought about putting that idea to him? Like, I mean, if I knew him, if I had any way to, I'm assuming you're talking about Jay Dyer, but it's like, if I ever were to talk to him, I would put that thought to him. But I mean, I also kind of
debate him, bro.
That's the thing. Like, I would honestly be pretty terrible in debates, and I really have no desire to do them, because like for me, like, any debate with a Christian or any kind of believer in any kind of God, like, no matter, if anything about the debate was like whether or not God exists, I would just be like, well, first of all, okay, present God. Until you're able to do that, like, we're not going to get anywhere. It's like, oh, you didn't bring God, he's not here. That's all right. Better luck next time.
Yeah.
That's as far as that. Now, just discussions, sure, I'm all about that. But any kind of like formal debate, like I just, and I love watching a good debate. I just feel like I just personally would be terrible at one of those. So, but yeah, conversations with anyone, sure. I have conversations with people I disagree with and have very different views on all the time. And as long as it's honest, respectful discussion, I love it. So I mean, if you have any way of making that happen, sure. All right, but back to this guy.
Obviously, we need to prepare ourselves, read, learn from people that do this for a living. How do you draw the line between?
I love. So speaking of one of the problems with apologetics, the fact that Christians feel like they need the professional apologists to inform them how to have conversations with people. You know, it's like, yeah. I don't know, BS, if you had any thoughts or if you're muted again or.
Nope, you're good.
Okay. All right.
We took a trip and we were talking about you. We were driving. You have a good attitude when you talk to people that are illogical. They have illogical views.
Okay, if I ever find myself like on a road trip or something where people are having conversations about Frank Turek, I am like throwing myself out of the door. It's like just opening the door, like tuck and roll, and I'm out.
How do you draw the line between winning an argument and reaching the end goal of pointing people to Christ? Like, you're talking to somebody and it they kind of take it in a bad way, or you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you decide? Because you talk to people all the time that are just random crew people.
Yeah, I think
not drive that wedge in.
I think that, first of all, Greg Koukl, my friend, has a great book on this called Tactics. I don't know if you've heard of that book.
That's what I have to say about that. I mean, this is something that me and Jimmie were talking earlier when we were talking about that video about Greg Koukl. I mean, just the name of the book, Tactics, like that says it all right there.
Well, that's your other friend was talking about, like, apologists are a good excuse or a good argument that God doesn't exist, and you have to have a book that says Tactics.
Right.
That's just showing that we're talking about psychological warfare and manipulation and such, rather than God just showing up and existing.
Yeah, right. Like, and this is something that me and Jimmie were talking about. Like, what, and Derrick even, like, what tactics do you have to use to convince someone that, like, the sun exists? Or what tactics do you have to use to convince someone that drinking water is important? It's like, all these things are just, like, so obvious. And again, if there was this, like, all-powerful God who wanted us to get to know him, like, you shouldn't need apologetics or tactics of any kind. It should be just like, yep, there he is. Or you shouldn't even need the person to say there he is. He just be like, here I am.
Yeah. I've never seen a debate on whether trees exist. Like, right? It just doesn't happen.
So, but there's a video idea. If you were to, like, actually make a parody of, like, what would an actual debate, like, and style it so you have, like, a tree
argument for trees.
Yeah. So if you have, like, a tree apologist and an atreist, like,
an atreist,
so think if there was basically, if Christopher Hitchens didn't believe in trees, what would that? And then you had, like, William Lane Craig, the arborist. Like, there's something here.
I do have something like that in my channel. It's a video called "Look at the Trees." It's not an argument per se. It kind of is. Where me and my buddy are in it, and I'm telling them how I'm deconverting. But it starts off with scenes of nature where Jesus's face is on everything, on bumblebees and flowers and volcanoes and trees and the clouds, everywhere.
Nice.
And then he just tells me, "Well, have you looked at the trees?" I look at it really hard, and then it fades out of view. Jesus' his face fades off the tree, and I'm like, "Nope, just don't see it."
I will have to look that one up. Man, now it's bugging me. What was the video you suggested that we actually did watch on the show a couple weeks ago? Which one was that?
Everything's evidence for God, basically.
Right. So
The false viability.
I still love the whole like showing like the unconscious UFC fighter on the ground, like evidence against God, like that. That's one of my favorite things ever. Not gonna lie.
And in that one, they're actually pointing to the sun as a god, and that's where I say like, oh, the sun exists. Like they have more sun worshippers have a better foot to stand on than Frank Turek and Greg Koch will do when it comes to their God existing.
Yep. Yeah, because like you point, look, it's right there, it exists, and at least they have like some experiments to say, well, look, well, every time we start like ripping people's hearts out, it comes back.
Well, in that case too, like you could actually make a solid argument like that the sun is necessary for life to thrive, and be like, well, you want to talk about fine-tuning arguments? Let's talk about how my God, the sun, is responsible for all life on this planet. Like you're not gonna win that argument,
right? And but then counterpoint to that, like if you're going to say that God was the one who designed the sun to give us life, so I don't know if you know like this part of my background, but like at this point 4 years ago, I had stage 4 melanoma.
Yeah, that's one of the drawbacks of the sun.
Yeah, so I'm like, so you're telling me like this God intelligently designed the sun and my skin, so if it weren't for the like intervention of artificial man-made medical like pharmaceuticals, I would literally be dead right now.
If I was if I'm putting myself in the shoes of a sun worshiper, I'd probably just say that you're a sinner and that you didn't sacrifice enough children or something like that. And
well, that's true. I am behind on my child sacrifices. That's fair.
So you really only have yourself to blame. Sorry, guy.
Yeah. Oh well. Good thing my oncologist didn't give a shit. All right.
That's praise oncology.
Yeah, or as I like to say, medical science is my personal savior. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, all right. What the fuck was Frank talking about? I'll back up a little bit. So.
How do you draw the line between winning an argument and reaching the end goal of pointing people to Christ? Like, you know, you're talking to somebody.
As if those are like the only two options you have when interacting with another human being. It's like either trying to win an argument or point them to God. It's like you can't just have a regular fucking conversation with someone who thinks differently than you.
Well, if I was in that position, I would think that winning the argument would be converting the person to Christianity, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, what's the actual difference there, dude? Yeah, that's a good point.
Because if you're losing the argument, like if I'm an atheist and we're arguing or debating like as a theist, like if I convert you or deconvert you, like then I will know that my discussion and debate with you hasn't been in vain. You actually heard some of the stuff I said. You didn't just like hand wave it away with your own apologetics, and you heard me and you thought about it and you decided I was right. So that's my win.
Yeah, there you go. All right, but let's see what Frank thinks of all this.
And they kind of take it in a bad way, or you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you decide?
What a non-believer taking a Christian's interaction with them in a bad way? Never.
Yeah. Tommy, did you know that you're a dirty, filthy sinner? What?
It's like, see. It's like, and you get upset, like, oh, see, another angry atheist. Why are they always so angry?
It's not demons.
Oh, fuck. Oh, the stories I have of, like, the Christians trying to blame things on demons. It's like when I've been, like, working with, like, different Christian organizations, like, trying to get some, like, projects and stuff done, and, like, things aren't going well. They're like, oh, Satan's clearly attacking us on this. It's like these demons don't want us to get things done. It's like, no, what's happening is like you are like not doing the specific things I asked you to do, and no one's like respecting my time. And also, when computers fail, it's like because technology is a thing. Can we just not?
They'd rather think that there's like a black magic shaman around in the closet somewhere playing with a voodoo doll.
Right?
I doom this project to defeat. Stick a pin in it. It's done.
Which also, apparently, it's weird that they're powerful enough to thwart the plans of like fucking God himself and like what he wants done, but that some random demon can just like wiggle his dick at something or whatever, and however they do things, and like,
But he
oh,
loves
hard
you.
drive crashed. It's like,
But he loves you.
right. It's like, could he not? Could we try that? See how that works. Oh well.
Side, because you talk to people all the time that are just random crew people.
Yeah, I
and
think-
not drive that wedge. In
I
them.
think first of all, Greg Koukl, my friend, has a great book on this called Tactics. I don't know if you've heard of that book,
Well,
but it deals with all of the.
He has a book. Let's calm down there, Frank.
And by the way, it's in the lobby for purchase. Go ahead and get it on your way out.
You're getting royalties on this, Frank? That which, I mean, fair play. Respect the hustle. But
all these interactions you have with people and what questions you should ask and how you should deal with people when they get upset and all this. And one of the things that
right, because when dealing with like how to deal with people when they get upset, like don't talk to like psychologists, therapists, counselors, like people who actually understand human interaction. Like, no, talk to an apologist who writes a fucking book called Tactics.
He has a PhD in make-believeology.
Yep.
that you might want to say if someone gets upset was just say, well, first of all, the question I think you should ask when people get upset is if.
Well, no, the question you should ask, like, first, when someone gets upset, first of all, you should maybe apologize. But then, like, the question you should ask is like, oh, what did I say? Or, like, how can I make this better? Like, right? But nope, apparently not.
If Christianity were true, would you become a Christian? Because this seems to be.
That's the dumbest fucking question. If Nazis exist, would you join them? Like,
Yeah.
I could prove Nazis exist. Would you join them? Like, it doesn't say anything about the moral standing or if you agree with what their message or anything is entailing.
Right. Or even like, I mean, I guess maybe to be fair, like the way he worded was like, if it's true. Well, okay. Well, also, first of all, that depends what you mean.
Yeah.
Because there are just so many different versions of Christianity that are often like contradictory and like mutually exclusive. So I feel like this is something like me and Matt talked about on the show before. It's like, I feel like if all someone tells me is I'm a Christian, like I feel like they essentially told me nothing. Like,
here's a good one. If they say if it says if Christianity is true, would you believe it? I'd be like, if Calvinism is true, I wouldn't have a choice.
right? Or maybe I wouldn't because I'm predestined not to believe it, apparently. Yeah. But then there's a difference between like believing and accepting. Because like if you were to like prove to me that Christianity was true, and let's just say it's like Frank's version of Christianity, which includes, okay, you like we're born sinful, we're just these wretched creatures, and we need to accept a certain version of like atonement theory and like what Jesus's death meant. Otherwise, we are going to hell. Okay, even if you were able to prove to me that that is the reality, like that is true, that's just what's up. Like, I feel like I would. I mean, obviously, I would if I found out that like heaven and hell were real places, and I was going to go to one or the other when I die. Like, okay, yeah, I would try to do what it takes to go to heaven, but I mean, I wouldn't like it. I mean, I think if that is the situation, I think that's incredibly fucked up. But I feel like. I guess I also feel like whatever sort of acquiescence I would have to the truth of Christianity, I don't know if God, if he actually does truly know my heart, like, I don't know if he would even accept that, like knowing like, okay, yeah, you've proven to me that this is true, but I still fucking hate it, but I'm just going to say that I accept it just so you don't burn me forever. It's like,
I've heard so many atheists said they would. Like, that wouldn't be an uncommon response. Like, would you rather burn in hell or live a fake life with something you hated? Like, a lot of people would choose the living a fake life.
Yeah.
But
then there's a question of like, would God accept that? Like, as if it's supposed to be like true and genuine faith and love and all that. It's like he would know if I'm just saying, yeah, just whatever it takes for me to not go to hell. Like, would that count? Like,
maybe he doesn't care. Like, if he's a narcissistic abuser, like I thought he was in my fucking personal experience, like,
right?
Maybe that would highlight the absurdity of all reality in general. Is that you have this dear leader, megalomaniac, who is an evil boss, but you have to say he's good, and that's like you everything's backwardsville, and you're just living in this place where it's like, oh, we all know he's shit, but we can't say it. We have to sing songs about him and tell him how great he is, because he's going to burn our asses if we don't.
He just gets off on that. So because he loves you so much,
So probably, if he could read your heart and he knows that conflict and cognitive dissonance is within you, he probably is like enjoying it. Like, oh, I love this. Like, he knows I'm a dickhead and he's still kissing my ass.
Oh man. See, but then there's like the part of me that just wouldn't want to give him the satisfaction. But But hey, fortunately, apparently hell is locked from the inside. So as soon as
nobody has to worry.
So as soon as I'm literally there for half a second, I'm like, oh, this actually sucks. So I'll just let myself out, and it's all good.
Yeah, yes, that's another point of C.S. Lewis's thing. Like, you could just escape hell after you're dead, and hopefully heaven isn't locked from the inside too, because then you're stuck in limbo.
Ooh, yeah.
But still better than hell, right?
Right, but is there like an in between though, like a no man's land? But no.
Yeah.
See, unfortunately, I'm not. But
I'm sorry. Just drop off into the eternal abyss at that point, then.
Which I do love a good staring into the abyss. So maybe that's for me.
Well, let's consider this about Frank's question, because he's talking about tactics, right? This is all strategic. We're being warriors, military generals for Christ right here. What is his
Thanks for keeping me on task, by the way.
Yeah, what is his purpose for asking that question? If I'm going to answer my own question, I think that he's fishing for any reason to put the blame on the person rather than the God.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm.
And so,
I mean that's also what the whole like hell is locked from the inside tactic is all about. It's like trying to make, well, it's not God's fault. They wanted to be there. It's really their fault. That's
because if you even show hesitation on answering that, like, well, I don't know, be like, well, it sounds like that's a you problem, buddy. It's not God. That's you.
Yeah, and then
he gets to dismiss everything you say. Yes.
Yep. Exactly. All right. But let's let him continue for some reason.
More emotional than it needs to be if there are not emotional reasons for you to get upset. In other words, why would you... Well, first of all, the question I think you should ask when people get upset is, if Christianity were true, would you become a Christian? Because this seems to be more emotional than it needs to be if there are not emotional reasons for you to get upset. In other words, why would you get upset when we're trying to talk about facts as to whether or not God exists? Because there's a whole...
Yeah, like, because... There's no reason that anyone should be upset about Christianity. Like, why would anyone be upset if this turned out to be true? Like this assumption that I think is also a big problem with a lot of apologetics is like they're just going in with this presupposition, if you will, that this is just so clearly awesome and amazing. So if you don't like it, then that's clearly something wrong with you. Like,
yeah. Why wouldn't you want something awesome and amazing? You dumb. It doesn't make sense. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, and because especially if it's like an emotional response, it's not like people can necessarily like control their emotional responses. Like if you have an emotional response to something, that's just your response to something. So, but it's usually indicative of some sort of like underlying intellectual like feeling about it. An intellectual feeling, is that a thing? Sure, it's the words that came out. I'm going with it. But appreciate that. Yeah, it's like, my brain is
So
going so many different places of why that's bullshit. I can't pick one, but
sorry. Let me pick it up
yeah,
while you
go
gather
ahead.
your thoughts. You were talking about earlier how you are struggling to even understand what the word good meant when people are trying to challenge you on it and say, well,
Mm-hmm.
slavery's good and this is that, and it's like it becomes really warped. So I've been really enjoying the problem of evil lately. I've been digging into it
Yeah.
in depth and philosophically, and I just
Mm-hmm.
put out a
Mm-hmm.
video where me and like 3 of my atheist buddies were discussing it because they don't think it's worthy of bringing up. They think that it's too easily shut down. So I have my own formulation about it, and
Okay.
I'll run the premises by you really quick. We don't have to go in depth about discussing it, but the first is
Yeah.
that God is triomni,
Mm-hmm.
omnibenevolent, omnipotent, omniscient. The second premise
Mm-hmm.
is evil exists, and evil is defined in this premise as anything that is contrary to God's omnibenevolent nature or will.
Mm-hmm.
The third is that prior to creation and existence of God alone, it would be logically impossible for evil to exist. And then the conclusion is the stereotypical conclusion where through the act of creation, evil entered reality, and it shows that God is either not omnipotent, not omnibenevolent, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of
Yeah.
the time we spend a lot of the squabbling over my definition of evil, and I found it very important to clearly outline my definition of terms because that's where this stuff falls through the cracks in philosophical debate. Is, well, what do you mean by suffering? What do you mean by evil? Blah 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 blah. So I made sure I did it, and I used the moral argument as my standard because God's omnibenevolent nature is the standard of all good, right? And so anything contrary to that would be evil.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
And so what was he just saying? So I was going to tie to what he was saying. He was saying, "Oh, good Christianity, if we like it or not."
Oh, yeah.
We can only formulate a decision if we would like something, if we understand the language that's being used. If you mean that Christianity is good, and by that you mean that slavery is good and genocide is good and all this stuff, well then
Right.
you're snookering me on the deal. You're trying to put in some fake loaded language to get me to buy a lemon car when
Right.
I think you're selling me a Cadillac or something like that. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
you're definitely going to have some weird language issues if you can't even agree to terms of what good means, like the true
Right.
Christianity, as you mentioned earlier. Like, what are we talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Calvinism. And so it's such a loaded question. It's not even funny, but
Yeah, that's why like I'm willing to like in discussing like the problem of evil, like when Christians will say, well, by what standard are you calling something evil or wrong? It's like I'll just go ahead, okay, I'll use your standard, like God's standard, like
I think you're
just
supposed to because it's an internal critique.
yeah,
You can't use your own
right,
standard.
yeah. So real quick, like my two main points, like when I think about the problem of evil, is like first of all, like I feel like I can express why the problem of evil is a problem in 6 words, all from the Bible. First 3 words from First John, God is love. Okay, and then from there, okay, well, if God is love, if you want to call it the transitive property, any way that the Bible describes love will describe God, right? So
Yeah.
God is love. 1 Corinthians 13, the
I,
famous
knew,
love
I
passage,
knew you were going there. Yeah.
it says love always protects.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can look at the world and tell me that God loves everyone and that everyone is always protected, like,
And if Satan's roaming around and a serpent and demons and all this stuff, yeah, not very good protection.
yeah. And so my second part of that, but first, got to put this up from our good friend Emily, also friend of Matt. Yeah, missing you, Matt Hill. I've been sending you all the healing thoughts and vibes. Don't give up, friend. Awesome. Thank you so much, Emily. Love you bunches. Like I said, I don't know if Matt's watching tonight. He's feeling kind of meh. But if he watches this later, like I said, I'll tell him he definitely needs to watch this later. Because I mean, other than the messages to him, I mean, I think this has been some good shit. But yes, thank you so much. All right. So yeah, but the second part is like, because this is something that even bothered me. So in my whole like deconstruction process, like interrupt me again. It's all right, Chris. But yeah, like, yeah, you got this, Matt. Yeah. So yeah, BS. I don't know if you caught what's going on with Matt or not.
I know his back hurts, and I wasn't gonna dig any deeper. If I didn't know
Yeah,
if
that's
his
cool. Like
back.
he's been like talking about like on like Facebook and stuff. Basically, like looks like he's might need surgery on his back. Like he's currently in the hospital. So, and they're still trying to figure out what exactly they're doing. So, yeah, that's what's going on with him. So, yeah, appreciate from everybody all the messages for him. Like I said, I'll make sure whether he watches this or not, I will definitely make sure all that gets passed on to him. But yeah, so with the problem of evil, another thing that like bugged me, like even in my days, like so in my like deconstruction process, I grew up like very fundamentalist, like Baptist, went like a little more like mainline, even like a little progressive evangelical to like somewhat charismatic to like deconstructing to, I guess, in my final form of Christianity, as it were, I was a universalist panentheist. But like with my panentheism, I don't know if you're familiar with what that means.
Yeah, I went through every different flavor of theology before I just dropped.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess for those who don't, it's basically God is just like in and through everything, which I mean, it's kind of like what the Bible teaches when it says like in him we live and move and have our being, and God is in and through all things and all that. So it seemed pretty biblical to me.
And pantheists have a better time arguing their fact than creationists do too, because they don't have to sit there and skirt around the first law of thermodynamics.
No, yeah, that's convenient. But my thing with like panentheism was, okay, so if God is literally the source of everything and everything is like being sustained in him and he is all goodness and all loving, like then how can even evil even possibly exist? Like where does it come from? Because even if you like they're like the other end, like people who say that like evil is just a privation of good or just like a lack of good, it's like, okay, but if God is sustaining everything, how is anything lacking any amount of goodness? So yeah, just the presence of evil makes no sense. And I'm taking this as an agreement, like, oh, good point. But yeah, Alpha Centurion, thanks for the interaction. Let me know if I misinterpreted that. But thanks for being here. All right. So yeah, let's say we get back to Frank if you're prepared.
Cadre of implications that flow from the question of whether or not God exists. In fact, let me be very blunt with you in here. Not far.
Yeah. Also, BS, did you drop off or did I lose you? Or it looks like you're no longer on. So feel free to hop back on, if you will. All right. Back to Frank.
But I submit to you that a lot of the hostility that Christians experience, and it's mild compared to what they experience in other countries, but a lot of the hostility that Christians experience in America they're experiencing it because there's a new religion in America. Ooh. And the new religion in America is the religion of sex.
See, like, people aren't experiencing like hostility towards Christianity because it's just bullshit and it's harmful to a lot of people. No, that can't be it. It's like, oh, it's because they've formed their own religion and it's sex for some reason. God fucking damn it, Frank. But yeah, BS, like I said, it looks like, I don't know if you dropped off on purpose but yeah, if you want to jump back on, the link should still be there up higher in the chat. Yeah, go ahead and click on if you're wanting to come back in. If not, that's cool too. I get it, but yeah. All right.
It's an old religion resurrected. No pun intended.
Okay, let me back that up.
Is the religion of sex. It's an old religion resurrected. No pun intended.
It's like, was that an erectile dysfunction joke? Like anyone else hear that? About sex being an old religion resurrected? Like, it's like, Frank, you having trouble getting it up, buddy? Is that what we're hearing? Because look, I feel for you if that's the case. I mean, seriously, anyone else? Was that just me? I mean, if it's just me, that's fine. But I dig it.
And what I mean by that is that you notice the battles that we have culturally. They're all surrounding sex, right? Abortion, same-sex marriage. Now it's contraception that have to be paid for.
First of all, these don't need to be battles. Just let people do the things. But like all the battles we're having nowadays around contraception, really? When was this? 8 years ago? It's like 2017. Like even like in 2017, all the battles we're having were about sex. Like there was nothing about like poverty, hunger. Like all right. There you are. Welcome back, BS.
Sorry about that. I forgot that Restream is a resource hog on my laptop. And so I put it down and it wasn't venting properly and it shut down due to overheating.
Ooh. Yep. It does.
So one thing I wanted to say before we got off the top of evil, the problem of evil too far. I just have I think I refine it to one simple question that points out that why this God is a contradiction logically. We usually use the example of squared circles being an illogical concept or whatever because it's a definitional contradiction. So the question I'd ask you is it possible for an omnipotent being to do anything that is contrary to its omnibenevolent will? It's a movable force or a unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
Yeah.
And it's a paradoxical question all on its own because it's like, it's essentially you're saying a squared circle because an omnipotent guy could do whatever. If I can do evil and sin and God can't do it, he's not omnipotent.
Yeah.
Case
closed. I mean, that's the problem with omnipotence. But then there's also like another thing I've heard. I forget who I heard this from, but they said even the concept of omniscience or being all-knowing is essentially impossible because, like, how would you know that you're all-knowing?
You just precept it like a precept, bro.
Of course. Yeah, but
yeah, God is if he's a mind of any sort, he's subject to the problem of hard solipsism too. Like there's no way for him to get around it.
Yeah, because the thing is, even if he actually did know everything that there was to be known, like he still couldn't actually know that he knows everything. So that would be like the one thing he doesn't know, even if he did literally know everything else. But yeah, as far as like the whole like not being able to like do anything contradictory, because that's something that like, you know, Christians will say, well, you know, this is why God can't make a square circle. Like, well, because God can't do anything that's just logically impossible. But then, like in the next breath, they'll be like, "Oh no, let me tell you about the Trinity and how that works." It's like,
yeah. Many a heretic have been killed for trying to explain the Trinity logically.
Right? Yeah. I mean, Santa Claus will punch a bitch over that. But anyway, so since I lost you for a second, so did you hear Frank's unintentional dick joke?
Oh, I missed it. Let's do it again.
All right, let's go back. All right.
But I submit to you that a lot of the hostility that Christians experience, and it's mild compared to what they experience in other countries, but a lot of the
Okay, so he's talking about like the hostility that non-Christians experience because of Christianity. But he's going to say it's because of one thing and just one thing, not because like Christians are actually dicks or actually do anything harmful to people. It's this.
The hostility that Christians experience in America they're experiencing it because there's a new religion in America.
Oh, sorry. The hostility that Christians experience from non-Christians. I don't know if I worded that correctly. So the reason people don't like Christians, it's not because there's anything harmful about their religion or they're assholes or they try to exert too much control over society. None of that. This, what Frank's about to say, this is why Christians are experiencing hostility from us outsiders.
And the new religion in America is the religion of sex. It's an old religion resurrected.
Erected.
Yeah, that's what like an old religion of sex resurrected. It's like, is that an erectile dysfunction joke? Like, Frank, are you trying to tell us something, buddy? You're having some struggles. It's like, look, if you are, I feel for you. Like,
okay, here's something for your buddy Matt. Tell him next time you see him that life is like a dick. Sometimes people make it hard. Sometimes it gets hard for no reason. But always take comfort in the fact that it's not going to stay hard forever.
Especially at our age. I mean, what? That is fantastic. I will pass that along to him. Thank you. I appreciate that. And he will too. But yeah, people are antagonistic towards Christians because our religion is sex. I'm assuming he's about to make that make sense, but let's
sign me up.
No pun intended. And what I mean by that is that you notice
what I mean by that is like I'm having trouble getting it up during go time.
Isn't the Christian religion about going forth and be fruitful and multiplying? Like, how is that not a sex religion too?
Right? That's literally our mandate. It's like
that was like the second command that he gave to him. The first one they failed hard at. But
I mean, you might interpret that as fuck around and find out. Like, find out how many more of you there could be, right?
Yeah, just find out what a pain in the ass kids are. Just like you guys are being a pain in my ass.
Yeah. No. And forgive me if this is too personal a question. Feel free to refrain from answering. But do you have kids?
I got two.
No.
And this is what it reminds me of is the younger one will sit there and poke and poke and poke and poke and poke at the older one, and the older one does something about it. And then the younger one's like, why are you persecuting me because of my religion?
Will they literally say that? Because if so, that's fantastic.
No, that would be hilarious. Though. But yeah.
But yeah, same kind of thing. Like
it's the equivalent to it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Is like, so my eldest, like my daughter, and then my youngest son. They very much, as I try to like not harp on like stereotypes as far as like boys and girls and like oldest and youngest. In so many ways, my oldest daughter acts like an older daughter, and my younger son acts like a younger son. But like I remember when they're teenagers now, but like when they were younger, doing things like my daughter, she'd just be like laying on the floor, and my son would just like jump on her back. And I would like, dude, don't jump on your sister's back. He's like, I was just using her as a surfboard. I'm like, yes, I know that's what you were doing. Like,
yes, we know the logic of it. Thank you.
Yes, but yeah, it's like I'll tell her, don't do that thing. But I was just doing the thing. It's like, yes, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Just start screaming religious persecution. That should get you out of any problem you're in. That's what I'm going to teach my kids from a young age.
Ooh.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, I mean,
horrible.
But I mean, hey, if it works, it works, right? I mean,
well, it gives you life lessons that go into your adulthood.
Yeah, I mean, there's that's why that constant tension as a parent is just like, are you trying to raise them to like fit in with the way the world works, or to hopefully improve the way the world works? It's always like yeah.
What's Frank have to say about it?
Let's see.
The battles that we have culturally, they're all surrounding sex, right? Abortion, same-sex marriage, now it's contraception that have to be paid for in the
immigration.
Immigration, unemployment, going bankrupt due to like medical expenses. Like, yeah, it's all about.
I just want to have sex with my illegal immigrants. Leave me alone.
I want to have sex with my illegal immigrants, and the government won't pay for my abortion. That's
so stupid.
That's. It's like they literally have no idea how to even describe reality other than how to make it fit with whatever he's preaching about at the second. Yeah.
But it is pointing out their like obsession with sex that they have. Like,
oh yeah,
there's a lot of repression in the in the purity culture, and so it like lashes out in weird and wonderful ways.
Yeah, I mean that's why I say like, because since deconverting, there's the whole trope, and like Frank is notorious for this. It's like, oh, you just must have wanted to just sin more. It's like, no, I'm not sinning more, and to be honest, like I'm looking at pretty much just as much porn as I was when I was a Christian. The only difference is now I don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah, I don't sin at all because sin's dumb and it's stupid and it's not real.
There's that too. But it's like, as far as like the things I actually do, like there's no new, even what they would call like sinful habits I do. It's like literally the only difference is I just don't feel guilty about this shit anymore.
Yeah, I'm a much better person as an atheist. I was horrible. Like I was the type of Christian because of my fundamental background that I was like browbeating my wife about submission all the time, like to an extreme asshole type of sense. Yeah. And so like once I just told her like, no, I'm not going to be your headship anymore. We're going to be partners. Like stuff got a lot easier.
Oh yeah. Go figure. Yeah.
Yeah. Who would have thunk it?
Well, that's good. Glad to hear. Yeah, but let's hear why. So apparently, like maybe that like erectile dysfunction joke from Frank, maybe that was a little like Freudian slip. Maybe like that's why his mind is on this. It's like, look, I just can't get it to work, so that's everyone else's problem now.
Obamacare and all this. It's all these cultural things. It's all about sex.
Wait, Obamacare was all about sex? I don't remember that.
Affordable medical care is sexual. Got it.
I mean, understandably so, I guess. I mean, I'm a completely straight dude, but I understand that maybe like people just thought Obama was sexy. I mean, I guess I could see it if I was into that.
It's because he was a Muslim. That's why they're just mad.
Nah, they're all about the sex. Yep.
The University of Nebraska wants to keep Chick-fil-A out of their, or at least some students do, off their campus because the CEO believes in traditional marriage.
Traditional biblical marriage. So like that means the CEO believes in like buying your wife with a herd of goats from
the women are property. Like,
right.
Is that it?
Like, as I like to say, like, don't talk to me about biblical marriage if you don't know your daughter's worth in goats.
Yeah. And which marriage are we talking about biblically? Like Solomon, David, Abraham? Like, nope, none of those guys.
It's like, it's.
The reason I'm saying this is because
also let's just say like traditional biblical marriage actually is what Frank thinks it is, like one man, one woman. It's like, yes, how dare someone have a different view on that? Like, okay.
Well, the elephant in the room for many people is not evidence. The elephant.
Were you about to say something?
So the reason Jesus gives, like when he's talking about divorce, it's like this is how it was from the beginning, right? Which has nothing to do with the one man, woman like gay thing. It's just because it says that and it talks about divorce. They bring it in as the verse. But they like to forget that there was a lot of things from the beginning that they reject now. And first would be incest. That's how God created things in the beginning and then did a rerun at Noah's Ark.
Right. Yeah, that's.
And it's like, well, if I want to hump my sister, like, is that biblical? Well, technically, that's how it was from the beginning. So go ahead.
Yeah, because even if like, even if like at the beginning, like he didn't want to, even if they didn't want to hump their sister, that was their only option.
Yeah, it was or the mom.
Yeah,
You got your mom or your sister. That's basically your
Yeah.
choices. But let's not talk about that. Let's just bash the gays instead.
God. Yep. It's like, and I can't believe people disagree with this. And like, yeah.
Yeah. Also, they were
Elephant in the room is
vegetarians from the
morality and-
beginning. They were also vegetarians from the beginning. So like, this gives a point to the vegans. Like, score 1, vegans.
Yeah. We'll let them
Anyway,
have that one.
I'll quit ranting on it. Go ahead.
No. I mean, have you seen the show? I mean, this is what we do, man.
Have you started beer 2 yet, or what?
Yeah, I'm on just Stone IPA. The first one was the Tangerine Express, but
All right.
yeah, I think I started the second one when like Derrick joined in earlier. So
Okay, I just started number 2, so I'm catching up. We chug a little
what do
bit.
you-
I'll be there with you? Same one.
All right.
I just bought a 6-pack. So Maximus
Smart.
Lagunitas.
Yes. All right. The other thing is like I may be on to my third soon, but we'll see what my bladder allows. But all right, we might just like finish this video of Frank, and then I may need to call it an evening. But yeah.
And accountability. They don't want there to be a God, and they don't want you, if you're a Christian, to impose your morality on them. That's why there's so much heat. That's why there's so much
Yeah, how dare people not want other people to impose their morality on them? Like, because like here's the thing, Frank, you probably wouldn't want me imposing my morality on you either if I actually wanted to.
That's what they bitch about nonstop all the time. He was just doing it like 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, right. Like they want to impose their morality of like
affordable health care.
Have the right, yeah, like letting women have the right to choose what to do with their bodies and all like but how dare they not want to hear us try to impose our morality on them? It's like,
but the thing is, he said the quiet part out loud. Out loud. He said that it's his morality. It's not God's morality, because it would be a different thing if God came out and said, "Here's my morality. I made you. Let's follow these. This is my instructions for." But he's like, "No, I'm trying to impose my morality on you."
Yeah, I'm feeling Frank might actually not be a big fan of God if he was anything with the Bible.
Sounds like he just wants to be God, if I'm hearing him right.
Yeah. Seems to be.
aggression. That's why people will shout you down and get mad at you, because they think you're going to try and take away something they don't want taken away.
Well, because you are.
Yeah, are you? Are you going to do that?
It's like, oh, yeah. This whole like.
I think COVID proved the point on this. Like, how dare you try to tell me to wear a mask in church? I refuse. I absolutely refuse. And it's like, okay, well, you guys didn't like it when you thought people were trying to take away your ability to not wear face wear, where we didn't want to wear face wear. Like,
yeah, or like another thing they get mad when people try to take away. It's like, well, I don't need a mask. God will protect me. Like, well, then why do you have a gun?
Yeah, pray it away, right?
Yeah, like.
That's what I also. Okay, I'm gonna stop plugging my show after this, but like, I have a funny cartoon where it's an advertisement in the sorts for ass. It's what's this acronym for? Almighty Security Systems. And basically you pay this subscription fee and they give you a bunch of yard signs, and I show all the yard signs, and some of them's like, we don't call 911, and it shows like pray hands. And then it's like, you're being watched right now, and it shows that Monty Python god sticking out of the clouds.
Ooh, nice.
Our security system. And it's so funny. And then like you can call their hotline for like help, but all they do is it's a prayer hotline. So that's all they do. They don't call 911. They just pray for you.
Which, I mean, when you think about it, like if prayer is what, like that should be, that's one of the things, like in my most recent, like little short video I did about the whole concept of like God healing through medicine. And I was talking about how a lot of Christians like kind of like talk down on like, the Church of Christian Science, or like any other Christians who like reject any form of like actual medical intervention in favor of just praying for healing. They say, "Oh, that's clearly dumb and stupid." I'm like, "Well, but if prayer is what you claim it is, like, shouldn't that work? Like, shouldn't that be enough?" Like, yeah.
That's the alternate ending of Mark when he says you can hold snakes, drink poisons, heal with your hands. Yep. And when people try to talk their way out of that, and like, which takes more faith, to drink poison or not to drink poison? Like, obviously, to drink poison takes more faith, but you're going to sit there and bash on them for not reading the Bible right. You know, the Appalachian snake handlers and stuff. They get bit in the face all the time, and it's like, well, I think they're demonstrating their faith by their works when you're sitting there just flapping your jaws.
Right. Yeah. And this also, like, this situation also shows, like, the Christian apologetic, you know, this how they deal with cognitive dissonance by just kind of not dealing with it. It's like, okay, well, that's what the Bible says. It says you will be able to handle snakes or drink poison and not be harmed. So normally, like, when people are like evaluating truth claims, we say, okay, here's the claim. We'll test it out. And if it turns out and if we see something happen that is contrary to what the claim says will happen, then we'll say, oh, that must not be a true claim. But when it comes to the Bible, when it says people will handle snakes and drink poison and not be harmed, but then we see people do those things and they are harmed, we go, oh, it must have meant something else.
Yeah, or it was a sin in their life that, like, God stopped.
Right? Yeah, there's got to be something else going on here. Like, yeah, it's never like. That's why I have often said, like, to me, it seems like in a lot of Christian circles, like, having strong faith is just another way of saying being really good at just denying the plain reality in front of your face.
Being really gullible, yes.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. Unfortunately.
There's a question that goes around a lot. You probably been asked, like, what would it take for you to believe that God exists, right? Or the Christian God?
Yeah.
Me, I think if I saw all the hospitals shut down and everybody started doing their healthcare at churches because exclusively Christians were faith healing cancer, growing back limbs, doing all the medical procedures by laying on of hands. And not only that, if I could be like, well, this is awesome, I become a Christian and I can start doing it, then I think I'd be fully convinced.
Yeah, that would be pretty.
That's a pretty good answer, right? Yeah, that's a pretty good answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, and if you answer that way, like, how are they going to tell you that's a bad answer?
Because they'll say, well, are you telling me like God didn't want those people healed? Because they'll be like, oh, it has to be in his will. Like, is his will for Tommy to have stage 4 cancer? Like, would he not want me to go over there and lay hands on him and fix him? Like, you're God's an ass. You know, you're advocating that your God is a prick at this point. And so if Christianity was true, I don't know if I want to be a Christian because you're saying your God's a dickhead.
Right. Yeah. Like, I'll take the medicine, please. Fuck him. But yeah, that's another thing. Like, in that little video I made recently, one of the things that, like, has kind of bugged me is, like, because, like, what's the answer? Like, if you do pray for something and it doesn't happen, like, what's like the typical Christian answer? It's like, okay, well, that must not have been God's will.
Yeah. Yes. No. Or later.
Yeah. But the thing is, okay, so, but if someone's like sick or injured, or like just something that needs medical attention, and like people pray for them and they're not healed, like, what do Christians do then? They go to the doctor. But
hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. But the thing is, like, that doesn't make any sense, because if you are actually believing that if a prayer does not get answered in the affirmative, then that means it's not God's will. So then if you pray for someone to get healed and they're not healed, what the fuck good is a doctor going to do?
You're going against God's will at that point.
Right? That's why I like to view, like, medical science as like a form of rebellion, basically. It's like we're like fucking Prometheus, like stealing healing from the gods and just using it for our damn selves. And, yeah.
That's a good analogy.
I could thank ChatGPT for that one. We've had some good talks recently. But all right. Well, let's finish Frank up.
That's really the issue. There are so many implications that come from this. It's more political than it is intellectual.
Okay, so let's remember here what the initial question is essentially the guy was asking Frank, okay, how can I have a nice civil, like non-combative discussion with a non-believer? And Frank's answer is basically to tell, well, you have to view them as antagonistic.
Yeah, they believe in sex and they just want to hate Jesus.
Yeah,
like, what if that conversation's with your grandma? Now he's like, I was telling my grandma about how Christianity is right, and then all I could think about her is just wanting to have sex all the time.
That's why she wasn't listening to me.
Now I'm thinking dirty thoughts about my grandma, and I have to repent.
Oh shit. Oh no, my. Oh yeah, sorry. Sent you back on. Forgot to throw that back up. Anyway, all right. Let's see if he can rescue this dumpster fire of a train wreck. It's going off a cliff, and however many other metaphors I can squeeze in.
You guys disagree with that? That's really the elephant in the room. So I think when you're dealing with people on that, if they all get hot and bothered and they get angry with you,
no shit.
You don't want to go there with them. You just want to be calm and say, maybe we can talk another time. I'm sorry I upset you, and then go to somebody else.
Yeah, I'm sorry I told you that your only objection is because you're just obsessed with sex, and that's why you want free healthcare for everyone. It's like, what the?
If this move on to somebody else, like that's telling too. It's like, again, you don't need to move on to anybody. God can initiate relationships. If he can't, he's not omnipotent. Like, he doesn't need you, Frank. If for all this purpose you think that you have in your life because of God, he doesn't need you. You're a useless tool to God. Like, it doesn't provide you any kind of sense of grand purpose or teleos or whatever the crap they say. It's you don't need to evangelize. Like, there's a skit of a video. I don't remember which movie or series it was, but God is talking to Jesus, and Jesus is saying, like, when am I going to come back? And he's like, you know that you're not necessary, right? He's just straight up telling Jesus this. He's like, I just kind of used you for like dramatic flair in the story, but you're absolutely not necessary at all. And it's true. It's totally true.
Yeah, because if God really was all powerful, it's like, one, he could just make himself known, but then also like the whole like atonement aspect. It's like, if he actually wanted to just forgive everyone without some sort of blood magic sacrifice, then he would. But
easy peasy, right?
Yeah, you would think, but apparently the power of blood magic is stronger, and he must appease it.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Greg Kokel's book is great on this, and I'd highly recommend.
I haven't read it, but I doubt that it's great on anything. But.
So he just plug it twice. And like,
this is like the second, and not just mentioning it, but like then like whoever like putting this video together like popped up the ad. Yeah.
I recommend you get it. Just let me give you a few questions you can ask people when they say things. These are from his book. The first question is, what do you mean by that? Like, for example, Mr. Carpenter asked me the question about evolution. Do you believe in evolution? My first question is, what do you mean by evolution? It means so many different things to so many different people, right?
But it only means one thing for people who like actually fucking understand it. And I mean, I know for like a lot of Christians who don't actually understand it, it can mean a lot of things. But as far as like the actual like legit biological definitions, like, I mean, yeah, it involves a lot of aspects and processes, but it's one thing, kind of.
Yeah, it's pretty easily to define.
Yeah.
You got to define your terms. Second question is, how did you come to that conclusion? Somebody says evolution is true. Oh, macroevolution is true? What evidence do you have for that position? What's your best evidence, right?
Macroevolution.
Third question is, have you ever...
Yeah, like
how did you come to that term, Frank? Because no one else uses that term except for Christian apologists.
Yeah, they for the people who aren't familiar with this, they try to like differentiate between like macroevolution and microevolution, wherein like microevolution is just like slight changes that Christians like, and even like your Ken Hams, your Answers in Genesis, like hardcore young Earth creationists will still admit that, okay, yeah, there is adaptation, but basically because they kind of have to, because It's so
It's
obvious.
so undeniable. Yes.
But I mean, if you take the story of creation, it's like even like the whole like adaptation thing like doesn't seem like it's actually part of what the Bible is explaining, because they're like, nope, God just created things and everything's just kind of as it is. Like no need to adapt because everything was perfect the first time, except for humans because we kind of fucked up. But just forget that part. But then sorry, go ahead.
You know what's funny about you ask somebody like young Earth creationists, where's the cutoff between micro and macro evolution?
Yeah.
And it'll always end up being 6,000 to 10,000 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, because I guess the term like macro evolution, I guess in their minds is like, well, that's like the big change. It's like one animal changing into a completely different kind of animal. It's like, but it's like what they don't understand is like, okay, it's like the way I've heard it put is like the difference between micro evolution and macro evolution. Like basically macro evolution, all that. First of all, like I said, that's not even like a real term. That's just a term creationists use because they try to differentiate. But really, when it comes down to it, macro evolution is just a lot of micro evolution stacked upon itself, and then eventually you get these big changes. Like the illustration I've heard used is like saying like microevolution is taking a step, and then macroevolution is like taking 1,000 steps. It's like if you're saying like, well, I believe in microevolution, but I don't believe in macro. It's like saying, well, I believe a person can take a step, but a person can't take 1,000 steps. It's like,
yeah. Well, that's why they don't believe it was more than 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, because there was nothing in existence before that. So that you can't take 10,000 steps.
Mm-hmm. Except when they try to like define like what a kind is, as far as like how many animals actually did need to be on the ark. It's like, well, they only needed like one kind, one pair of each kind. But then from there was like all the adaptation. But then if you actually look at what they define as a kind and say, well, there really only need to be like one kind of elephant and then like one kind of monkey and one kind of mouse and like whatever. But then all the adaptation that they accept happened in animals. It's like evolution, like in that short time period, would have had to have happened so much faster than even like evolutionary theory like would allow for. It
would be ridiculous. Yeah, you'd be saying it after each generation of animal, essentially. Like a dog comes out with wings, and then the winged dog grows hooves, and then
because that's like the creationist like straw man version of what evolution is. Like, oh, it's like a dog giving birth to a cat, and like, but according to like what they think happened, like that's kind of what they would need to have happened. Is every time an animal gives birth, it's a different animal.
Yeah, or else a one part of a different animal till it's unrecognizable 3 generations later or something. Yeah,
right. Yeah, exactly.
It's so stupidly fast that it's like you guys believe in evolution more than we do.
Yeah, I know. Like you're way more extreme than we are on this. Jeez, chill the fuck out. Jeez. All right. Well, all right. Well, I need to finish this, Frank, and be done with him for the night.
Have you ever considered that the evidence that could be used to point to a common ancestor could equally be used to point to a common creator or common designer?
Yes, I have considered that, and it is bullshit. So
those 3 questions, what do you mean by that? How do you come to that conclusion? Have you ever considered, can help you move a conversation forward? And you can see if a person really has evidence for their position. Many times they don't. They've heard a slogan and they just believe the slogan. And when you press them, and what evidence do you have for that slogan? They don't have any. So
I love how they're just assuming that we just listen to slogans and don't have any evidence for the things we believe or think.
God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. What's your evidence?
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like you ask them for proof, and they're like, "Well, God doesn't work like that. You can't expect proof." It's like,
this is philosophical, bro. Like you know, you're such a dummy. You didn't read these books.
Yeah, this is why. And like side tangent, but so I don't know where you are on this, like how you identify as like atheist or like strong atheist, agnostic, whatever. Like that's why I like that too. But that's why I'm comfortable identifying as a strong atheist. Because like you can't say there is no God if you don't have like definitive proof. It's like, well, I'm not claiming to have definitive proof. I'm just saying what I believe. Like, if you press me, they're like, yeah, I believe that no gods exist. But I was like, if Christians can claim that a God definitely exists, but then also admit they don't have proof, then I can say that a God doesn't exist and not have proof. So,
yeah, I'll take a
strong
atheist stance on the Christian God or any triomni God, because I already told you with my problem of evil stuff, like it's logically impossible the same way a squared circle is logically impossible. But come to me with some vague deistic notion, I can't prove that wrong. Like, who knows?
Yeah, and like I said, like I don't claim to be able to prove it wrong, but also when we talk about like the burden of proof, it's like, oh, the burden of proof falls on the person making the claim. But I was like, yeah, like yes and no. I mean, I'm making the claim that no gods exist, but really the burden of proof only falls on me in as much that I give a shit whether or not you agree with me, which I really don't. So I'm not trying to debate someone on it. I'm just saying this is what I honestly believe.
No, I like to have good answers for when I'm going to take that 2 Peter 3:16 or whatever it is, where I have to have good answers to explain the lack of hope I have within myself. And so when somebody comes to me, and
that's fair.
They come to me with the triomni God, I'm going to give them good reasons. If they're going to come with pantheism, I'm going to have a harder time. Like,
yeah. Like I say, it's just, to me, I just see so little reason or so much not reason to believe so the way I put it is like, I'm as comfortable saying there is no God as I am saying there is no Loch Ness monster or no leprechauns. It's like, I can't prove they don't exist, but I just do not see enough of a reason to believe that they do. So I'm like, what's the point?
You know what I'm going to do if you say that? I'm going to draw a big circle on a piece of paper, and I'm going to put a dot in the middle of it and say, this is all the information you know, Tommy. How do you know what you don't know?
Oh. Right. And then I could draw that same circle and that same dot. It's like, and how do you know there's not information out there that disproves God? And like, I think that there was like a version of that like I reacted to like months ago. And my question is, okay, so say like, here's the circle of all knowledge for people who don't know what we're talking about. There's this like apologetic. I don't remember who.
Josh Feuerstein.
Josh Feuerstein was the first one who came up with it. It was a different person whose video I was reacting to.
But he made it possible.
But same thing. Basically, okay, he draws a big circle. So, okay, here's like all knowledge that's possible in the entire universe and existence and all reality. And then like he'll draw like a small dot. And here's what you know is like, well, if you don't know that God exists, how do you know like the knowledge of God's existence doesn't exist somewhere outside your little dot in this big circle? And like my response to that is like, okay, well, what's God doing out there? Why doesn't he come into my dot if he wants me to know him? So
well, also the circle itself is false because you don't know what you don't know. So how do you know that there's a circle outside of anything that you do know currently? You're just making an assumption at that point that you don't know. You're guessing, you're hoping, you're wondering, but it's already starting on a faulty premise.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. There's so many issues with that argument, but yeah. All right. Speaking of arguments with issues.
So I think reading his book, and some of the tactics, by the way, are in the app too, that you can download, the Cross-Examined app.
Oh.
By the way, ladies. Man,
what
there
did
we
Christians
go. There's the connection.
Man, what did Christians do before apps existed? Like how?
But you can get little tips and nuggets of Greg Kogel's book in your Cross-Examined Frank Turek app.
Yeah, which now, as an autistic person, I guess I can kind of relate to this, but there's part of me that's like, why do you need an app to know how to talk to people?
Yeah.
But part of me is like, honestly, sometimes for me, for different reasons, I might find that helpful. But in their universe where it's like, no, this is all just such obvious truth and like autism's probably fake anyway. It's
and the bigger question is, why do you need any book to help explain God's perfect word to you? The existence of any books explaining God's word are irrelevant if God's word is perfect.
That's why. So I don't know if you've been following this whole thing with that guy Rhett from Rhett and Link. and he was like recently interviewed by Alex O'Connor and talking about like why he deconverted and all like the mad apologists response. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's hard to avoid it. Like every apologist is talking about it.
So like one of the things that I know on Michael Jones, like Inspiring Philosophy, he had several other people on there. And one of the things that they were all talking about was like, well, did he read this apologist or this church father or that? Like, well, he clearly didn't read all this stuff. And like, so if someone were to come to me and like, say, like me saying, yeah, I deconverted because I just thought through it all and like examined it and it just didn't make sense. I just don't believe anymore. They'd be like, well, did you read this author? Did you read this guy, this theologian? Really, my only response, I feel like all I need to say is like, well, I read the Bible. Was that not good enough?
Apparently not.
Like, and if it wasn't,
did you read
why?
the King James Bible? Because we all know
find
that's
all the
true
different
one.
And find all the different numbers and patterns. Did you see our video last week when we were reacting to this? Yeah,
Bible code.
Oh.
It's great. I actually bought into that crap for a lot, and I feel
Oh.
if I could like go back and slap past me in the face, I'd do it like 10 times because I used to fall for all that crap.
Yeah, that is one thing I'm glad I never really got into. Like even like my parents, like both my parents, like they're still like devout Christians, but even like I remember my dad just thinking all that stuff was just so ridiculous. So he like on his own, if anyone has any question on whether autism is hereditary, he developed what he called like a play on the Da Vinci Code. He called it the Twinkie Code. Where he went through like the packaging on Twinkies with like the ingredients list and everything. So he just like found all these different patterns in the words, and he like this whole like paragraphs long of like all these hidden messages he found in Twinkie packaging. It was
You're saying I wonder if he's autistic. I don't know. It sounds.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, maybe he's just convicted. But remember, like I was a guy who spent years in psychosis, so I took all that shit seriously. My pattern recognition parts of my brain were firing like crazy. And so there's this story. I went to the gas station one time. I know you want to get off. I'll keep it quick.
That's fine.
I was walking in the gas station, and there was a huge moth on the door. And I'm talking the moth like the size of a small bird. Like it was freaking crazy. This is during my time where I'm kind of like loopy in my brain. And I'm like, what are the odds that I see such a statistical enigma like that? You know, a gigantic moth sitting on the door. So I spent the next like 2 or 3 days researching everything there was about moths, from biological to esoteric to the Mothman prophecies to any biblical relations that moth would show up in symbolic stuff. And I eventually, because have you seen the Mothman prophecies?
I have not, unfortunately.
It's basically a story where somebody gets a prophetic vision that a bridge is going to collapse, and I live in an area with bridges, and so I thought that was the message that God was sending to me. And so I spent like a long time after that being afraid to cross those bridges, because I was like, God is showing me that these bridges are going to collapse anytime. Either I'm going to be on it or not on it. But then I thought about the alternative, like, what are you going to do if God sends you a message that you're going to have a bridge collapse within your city? You're going to be like Jonah or something. You'll be like, or not Jonah, they believed him, but Noah or something. And you're just going to start going around like a crazy person, be like, don't get on the bridges, they're going to collapse. And everybody's just going to look at you like you're a dum-dum.
Right.
And there's nothing you could do about it anyway. So like, if you're right, then cool. I guess you'll be vindicated. But if you're wrong, you're going to look like the village idiot.
Right.
And they didn't fall down, by the way, in case you were really wondering.
Oh, well,
they're still up to this very day.
I'm glad to hear. Glad to hear.
Oh yeah, pattern recognition is a bitch. Bible code, fuck you.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. All right. So, all right. There's about a minute left in this Frank video. I don't know. Do you feel compelled to finish it, or?
I'm West Coast, so I'm actually way behind time on you. I'm like, this is just my night's just starting, so just go ahead and do what you want to do.
Yeah, there's a minute left. I'll just see if he has anything else worthwhile to say. But I mean, I kind of doubt it. But I don't know. Hope springs eternal, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, these questions you can use for anything. Anything. Parents, you can use them with your kids.
Atheism?
Right?
Oh, jeez.
You can say, hey,
That was it. I just wanted to chime in. Atheism?
Yeah.
Deconstruction? Deconversion?
Right? Yeah. Use this on Christians. Like, oh, how do you know that? Yeah, kind of.
I know, that's marketing genius. Like, why alienate half your potential audience? Sell tactics to atheists and Christians alike.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just cause chaos.
I dig it.
your kid calls you one night and says, I'm not going to be home at 11 for curfew. First question should be, what do you mean by that? Second question is, how'd you come to that conclusion? Third question is, if you're not home by 11, you're grounded for 2 weeks. Be right home, Dad. By the way.
That was actually kind of funny. It was dumb, but it was funny.
Yeah, but also, like, in what world it is like a kid who's like already at like that level of like rebellion? If all you have to say, well, you'll be grounded in 2 weeks, and that'll immediately snap them back. It's like,
if I ask my kids, like, what do you mean by that? Like, they're such smartasses because they take after me. They'd be like, 11 o'clock, old man. It comes after 10 and before 12.
It's like, what do I mean by that? Exactly what I fucking said. It's like, do you not remember how words work?
Are we talking metaphorically or literally here? I don't know.
I don't know, but God is not held by time. So what even is time?
It's all a blink of an eye.
Right? A day is like 1,000 years, and 11 o'clock is like 4 p.m. or something.
By the way, husbands, never use these. Never use these questions with your wife. If she calls you an idiot, don't say, what do you mean by that? She is going to have a list a mile long, especially if you.
Okay, that's kind of fair.
She's going to bring the receipts.
Yeah. But that should go both ways, though. I mean, come on. Anyway.
You say, how did you come to that conclusion? So.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Do you feel like Rusty got his question answered?
Like, I mean, not well.
I think it was more like an opportunity to plug a book than actually.
Several times. Yeah, for real. Shit.
Because, okay, let's play out the scenario. Rusty's in the car with Grandma. She's getting heated because she worships sex, and he's trying to tell her about Jesus. And then he's trying
to tell her about how she worships sex. That's also key.
And she's like, I don't worship sex. And he's like, what do you mean by that, Grandma?
I mean, come on, you did support Obamacare, so how can you say you don't?
Yeah, if you're partaking in non-conservative politics in any way, everything's about sex. We all know that.
Yep.
You want Medicare reform, you're a sex worshiper.
Yeah, gun control, UBI, it's all sex. Yeah.
Yeah, we all know this.
Oh, fuck. Oh, man. Well, I'm about spent, but yeah, thank you so much for hopping on. This was a lot of fun. Well, I'm assuming Matt would be cool. Like, if we wanted to have you on another time for like a full episode to like maybe a little more like a pre-planned type of episode. That was the word. If you'd be down for that, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
To me anyway.
I was going to try to see if you guys want to come on my channel, because I'd probably get you a little more exposure at some point. But
yeah, that would definitely be cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just here to, Matt's down, wish well wishes to Matt. Hope he gets better soon, and trying to hopefully not overshadow him, so you're not looking for me to replace him anytime soon.
Oh, certainly not.
That's why I went back, because I didn't want to be too good, too funny, because I know his job is at risk with me just being here. But
right, yeah. We've only been like best friends for like 20 years. Like, yeah, rando on the internet's immediately gonna like swoop in and
stranger things have happened, is all I'm saying. And so,
True.
just
It's true.
well wishes to Matt. Hope you get better, bud. And just trying to keep your seat warm. So that's it.
Well, you appreciate that. I mean, you saw. I mean, Matt, if you saw the whole show, I mean, it took like not just BS, but also Derrick and Jimmie to like take your place. So I mean, it's tough shoes to fill, dude. But yeah, definitely looking forward to whenever you'll be back. Like I said, I don't know. He may or may not be back next week. Like I said, we're still waiting on to hear what the plan is for him moving forward. But yeah, obviously, Matt, like at your pace, whatever works for you, dude. If you need to take some time off, hey, we got you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, I'll tell a whole congregation of Pentecostals to go over to his hospital room, lay hands on him, and chant in tongues, and just to see if it works, because you can't hate me for trying.
Right. Yeah. I mean, worst case scenario is it works and he's healed. So yeah, fuck it. Why not?
Exactly. It's not like you have anything to lose in this situation. So
yeah.
All right. Well, it was fun, Tommy. Right. I'll let you close out on your own.
That was all right. Well, thanks. Have a good night, buddy. See you around. All right. Let's see on things, but yeah. So yeah, thanks for BS for joining us, and also big thanks as well to our friends Jimmie Ligon and Derrick Day. Like BS requested, as soon as I think to, I will go back and put links to their channels in the chat or in the show description, as well as BS's channel. Definitely go check him out too. Hopefully having him back on sometime. But yeah, what else? Yeah, I guess at least one of us will be back next week. Like I said, Matt, like whenever it is you're watching this, no rush, obviously, and obviously I'll be talking with you in the meantime as well. Yeah, hope you get well. We all love you, buddy. Yeah, do what you got to do, and we'll trust in our Lord and Savior, medical science, to get you through this. All right, and obviously we're all here for you too, buddy. So. Let's see. Anything else? Man, I'm not used to. See, that's the other thing. Like Matt usually always like takes us out. So now I'm having to do that and figure out where all the buttons are all at the same time. All right. Well, I'm out of things and I need to pee. So yeah, thanks again for joining us tonight. Hope this was fun. Even if you're watching later, still leave any of your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, all the things. Like I said, I'll be adding links to Jimmie, Derrick, and BS's channels, whether in the chat or in the description, as soon as I remember to do that. So check those out as well. Remember, speaking of Jimmie and Derrick, Jimmie, he'll be live same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central tomorrow on Thursday. And then Derrick and our other buddy, Aaron, who also been on the show, good friend of ours. They do their Freeology Friday on Friday, also 8 Eastern. Check out on Derrick's channel. Yeah, good shit. And hey, I may be joining Derrick this week if I'm free. So yeah, that should be fun if I can swing it. All right. Well, until next time, may your things and stuff be forever with your people. Have a good night.